We begin all of our sessions with either a prayer or a moment of silence. And tonight we'll have a moment of silence. I think we can all particularly think of the terrible incident in Minneapolis last week where 2 children were killed, many were injured, and keep them in our prayers as well. So we'll have a moment of silence. We'll now have the Pledge of Allegiance and invite everybody to stand and recite it with us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have our roll call, and it will show that all supervisors are present, with the exception of Supervisor Long and Leaf, who are online and are joining us that way. And we have a vacancy in District 10 of Supervisor Osnes, who submitted his resignation to the board, I believe, Mr. Administrator, on 28 August or so. And so Supervisor Osnes is not with us tonight. Normally at this point we have public comment. However, we also have an item on the agenda that I think will be the subject of most of the public comment, and our rules call for the opportunity to have that public comment immediately before the subject matter comes up, and that's probably most appropriate tonight, so that the comments can be made and then the item is brought up. So with that in mind, we'll move to the consent agenda. Oh, is there anybody who's would like to engage in public comment who's not commenting on the solar project? I tell you what, could you come to the podium if you're not commenting on the solar project, and we'll take care of your views first.
Thank you very much. My name is Celeste Cobrell. I live in the town of Hudson. I have 2 things to comment on. First, I want to invite everybody to what's going to be an excellent presentation regarding the St. Croix River watershed on October 4th. There are some flyers over there on the table, and I think I gave one to everybody up there at the dais. I would encourage, it's free, there'll be some great speakers, and everybody, no matter how you vote, we all need and want clean water. So I encourage you, please, to join us. It'll be educational and fun. The second thing I wanted to talk about does relate to water quality also, the St. Croix River. I and my family have had our home on Lake Malilu, which is the last impoundment of the Willow River before the water flows into the St. Croix. Lake Malilu is a less than 300-acre impoundment at the very end of the 70-mile-long Willow River. The Willow River has a 182,000-acre watershed, which is dominated by ag land uses. Since 1998, the Wisconsin DNR has listed the Willow River as being impaired by excess phosphorus. Lake Malilu, at the very bottom of that giant watershed, is also impaired by excess phosphorus and has poor water clarity because of sediment which continuously runs off upstream, carrying phosphorus, nitrogen into the watershed, and it all ends up right there before it goes on into the St. Croix. Right now, there's a proposal to draw down Lake Malilu by up to 7.5 feet starting in September, and it would be drawn down until May of next year. In order for that drawdown to go forward, the 4 owners of the dam, which includes St. Croix County, must give permission. I urge you not to give permission, and I'll tell you why. Since 2013, St. Croix County has been working to reduce phosphorus loading to the St. Croix River and Lake St. Croix. The Willow River is one of the major deliverers of excess phosphorus loading to the St. Croix River. And the data that has been developed through analysis by the WDNR during review of this proposed drawdown project shows that a 7.5-foot drawdown would likely deliver between 18,500 to 37,000 pounds of phosphorus that would be flushed from Lake Malilu into the St. Croix River. To put that in context, the county has spent $4.5 million since 2013 to 2024 to reduce phosphorus loading of the St. Croix River. The county has done nearly 400 upstream intervention projects in order to reduce sediment runoff and runoff of pollutants into the Willow River. Flushing that much phosphorus from Lake Malilu into the St. Croix River would undo approximately 2 years, if not more, of the progress that the county has made toward reducing phosphorus loading delivered to the St. Croix River. I don't think we should let our public dollars and our hard work throughout the watershed go to waste. So please, don't allow the proposed drawdown. Thank you.
Are there any other comments not on the solar project? Seeing none, we'll move to the consent agenda. And is there a motion to move the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Supervisor Barkalow?
Second.
Supervisor Carlson? Is there any discussion? Seeing none?
Point of order, Mr. Chair. One, there's no discussion on consent agenda, but two, there is a piece that I would like pulled. Number 5, appointments. I'd like that as a separate agenda item, but since there's a motion and a second, what's the order of that?
Tell you what we'll do. You'd like to raise that right after that consent agenda is approved.
But then it would be approved. That's my point of order.
Okay.
That's my inquiry. How do we back this out so that
Here's what we'll do.
can
We'll just
remove
assume
or
that
pull
the
something out?
motion was for the first 4 items and not agenda item 5. So the consent agenda is on the first 4 items of the consent agenda. Is there any discussion further on that? Seeing none, the consent agenda is adopted. Supervisor Burning to bring up agenda item 5 under the consent agenda. We can vote on it. You know, it's funny how we run different things. At the PPJ, if there's no discussion on things and it looks like it's unanimous, we just adopt it to save a little time. But we can vote on the first 4 items of the consent agenda. There's 17 yeas, 1 nay. The agenda is adopted. So now I'll turn to Supervisor Burning to bring up what was number 5 on the consent agenda.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Is Alicia here? Alicia Schneider?
She is not.
Not here. We got background. Tell me if I'm out of line, but the Board of Adjustment is a pretty big vacancy to fill. There's not a whole lot of information on Alicia, and I personally, I do know her, not super well, but I don't know if the rest of the board does. The Board of Adjustment has been pretty stable for a very long time, and I think if we're going to vote on someone, we would like to talk through them. A lot of changes were made over the last few months to zoning, and I think we got to make sure that we have the right person in there. So my motion is to table this to the next meeting and invite Ms. Schneider to come interact with us for a minute or two.
Is there a second? Second by Supervisor Shirley. Discussion. Any further discussion? So the motion is to table the nomination of Ms. Schneider till the next board meeting and have her have the opportunity to be with us at that time and to speak with her then. Okay. All those in favor? You can vote yes. Vote no if you want to proceed. Okay, the vote on that was 15-2, with Supervisor Long and Telejohn voting no. And so that item is deferred then till the following, next month.
Kathy did not vote. I have a vote for Kathy Reed.
Is she logged in?
We're trying to determine how Supervisor Leaf voted on this one. I can see you, Kathy, did you?
I was trying to vote no, and it did. I hit no, and then when I went to hit save, it went away. So
Okay.
I
There's
was
no
a no.
objection. We'll record Supervisor Leaf as a no vote.
Thank you.
And so the final vote was 15-3-0. At this time, we've got our presentations and recognitions. We normally have an annual report from the West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission, and then we also have our 2024 audit. Those folks are in the audience, and we'd like to hear from both of them before we get to our recognitions and discussion on the timing of filling the county board vacancies. I would ask the speakers to be as fulsome as they need to be to give a good presentation on their subject matter, and particularly the audit. But if you can hit the highlights, it would be greatly appreciated. I'll call on the West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission Chair.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the County Board. Appreciate the opportunity to be before you here this evening. Again, I'm Scott Allen. I'm the Executive Director of the West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission. Before you is a two-pocket folder with some more information. Hopefully you'll give a little bit more in-depth information both on the Regional Planning Commission on the left side, and then I'm joined with by Amanda Veith, who's our lending specialist with a Regional Business Fund. And information on the Regional Business Fund, which is part of the Regional Planning Commission, is on the right-hand side of your folder. Also, you're one of the first to receive our newest annual updated pen. So please enjoy that. It's made in part of recycled materials, and as a result, you may find the end cap perhaps wanting and may somehow fly off at some point. So. It's a design flaw, but a fun one. So with that, I will move on to the next slide as we go along here. Regional planning commissions, there are 9 of them in the state. I'll show a map here in a moment, just real quickly highlighting some of the things that were established for the West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission in 1971. We're almost at our 55th birthday here next March. These are a list of the topics that we typically undertake, various programs, policies, and plans. And we'll go to the next slide to show those 9 different regional planning commissions throughout the state. West Central Regional Planning is a 7-county regional planning commission, which is fairly standard, anywhere from kind of 5 to 10 counties in size. So we're pretty average in terms of 7. You can see here all the others around the state. As you look into Milwaukee and Madison area, there are a number of counties in that area that are not Regional Planning Commission members, but the remainder of the 72 counties are within a Regional Planning Commission. So with that, specifically with those 7 counties, there are 3 members or commissioners from each of the 7 counties, so that gets you to the 21-member commission. We meet on the the odd-numbered months. So we have our next meeting here actually next Thursday, typically the 2nd Thursday of the month. We try to go around different parts of the region for those meetings. So our next meeting next month will be in Polk County in Balsam Lake. The appointments are made every even-numbered year by each of the county boards. So you're due to pursue that after the spring elections next year. And with that, we'll move on to the next slide. I'll talk a little bit about that executive committee as well. So for St. Croix County, thank you to Supervisor Burning, Supervisor Hansen, and citizen member Ryan Seegard for participating as commissioners on behalf of St. Croix County. So we're joined by all 3 here today. So appreciate that opportunity as well. Mr. Seegard is serving as your executive committee member, so 1 from each of those 3 from each of the 7 counties serves on the executive committee. They meet on those even-numbered months to review kind of more, I'd say mundane, but kind of those executive-type materials that they then bring forward to the full commission typically. With that, we'll move on to the next slide. And you can see here there are 15 staff members, 14 full-time, that are employed by the commission. 9 of them are planners by their different topics and areas that they cover. And I'll get into those here in a moment. So a good representation or kind of a counterpart to that would be St. Croix County Community Development Department. For example, who have a number of planners on staff. So very similar in nature in that regard. You can see there too, those highlighted in yellow Our administrative staff, and then highlighted in green, including Amanda here in a moment, are those that are assigned to the Regional Business Fund. So the next slide talks just generally about our goal. We assist units of government planning for physical, social, economic development needs of the region. We do that as a coordinating organization between federal and state agencies and the local governments they serve. Assist units of government working on issues that occur at a regional level, and we provide technical assistance, advice, services directly to those individual units of government. I'll give some examples of that in St. Croix County here in a moment. The next slide kind of summarizes things into those 4 general areas: economic development, transportation, community development, and conservation and mapping. On the right-hand side, there is one of our displays with the Rain to River program that we help staff. This was in Chippewa County at the Farm Technology Days last year, is an example of that. On the next slide, talks about those first 2, economic development and transportation, highlighting some of those as well. One of those being county economic profiles. That is one of the handouts on the left-hand side of your folder. We update those each year based on information that gets updated, working in part with each of the county economic development corporations, or EDCs. So we worked with Melissa Meschke, the St. Croix County EDC director, to make sure that was updated and accurate and timely. Then transportation, again, we work on a lot of different things as well. I'll talk a little bit about some of those different projects in a moment. And the next slide talks about the other 2 general areas. Community development is kind of the bigger one, which is why, again, we have 9 staff members assigned to that. Such things as hazard mitigation planning, grant writing administration, outdoor recreation plans, a whole suite of different community development services. And then finally, conservation and mapping. We talk about water quality planning, as one of the speakers just mentioned as well. We're working on a water resource clearinghouse, kind of informational clearinghouse as well, to serve the region, and we'll look forward to seeing that getting started here this fall. Specific to St. Croix County, I wanted to speak about some of the individual projects. Some of those, again, as I mentioned, at Rain to Rivers of Western Wisconsin, we staff the Stormwater Outreach Coordinator. Member cities include Hudson, New Richmond, River Falls. We last year completed the St. Croix County Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan. That was adopted by the county board last September. We collaborated with Village of North Hudson to submit a FEMA mitigation grant application for a community safe room as a part of Pepperfest building. As a result of adopting that multi-hazard mitigation plan, unfortunately, that application was not selected for funding, but those are the types of services that we provide to member communities, is helping with grant applications, good, bad, or indifferent. If they're successful or not, we assist in a lot of those different ways. We prepare, again, those annual county-specific economic profiles. We assisted St. Croix EDC with various data requests. Again, that's part of services we provide. And we are just in the final stages of completing a new St. Croix County housing needs assessment, speaking of which, with the St. Croix EDC as well. The EDC took the lead, but includes several funding partners, including St. Croix County. Findings were presented at a municipal meeting hosted by EDC. County administrator and county community development director participated in that. And then we just wrapped up last week 7 St. Croix County Housing Roadshow events, which is a unique process we undertook with this housing needs assessment that we've done for a lot of other counties, but not in this kind of roadshow event or opportunity. We presented key findings from the study, obtained feedback, and discussed challenges and opportunities for taking next steps to advance housing in the counties. These were very well attended. Had several dozen in attendance in total. We also completed a joint Village of Roberts and Town of Warren comprehensive plan. It was adopted by the town in May of this year and the village in June. And that's fairly unique, not just in our region, but in the state, to see a joint village and town comprehensive plan to help guide their future development needs down the road. It was last adopted in 2002, so it was certainly overdue to see a rewrite, and it was exciting to be able to do that joint comprehensive plan once again. Again, it maintains that joint plan between the village and the town, but again, it is operated separately between both. And there's, you see an image there of the kind of cover page for that joint plan. We also just wrapped up the end of 2024 providing the City of Hudson transit services or Shared Ride Taxi Administration, kind of handed that back over to them. So kind of guided them through kind of a year plus on managing that, and they are now taking that on themselves. And we're preparing a new Safe Routes to School plan for Glenwood City School District on the east side of the county. And then finally, we're updating the Hudson Urban Sewer Service Area, or SSA plan. That was last updated in 1998, which in my head doesn't sound that long ago, but that was 27 years ago. So we are in the process of updating that, and a lot of course, has been happening in Hudson in particular with sewer service planning and urban growth. There's just an image showing that housing needs assessment in one of those kind of roadshow events. And then just pointing out, again, Glenwood City there highlighted as our next Safe Routes to School plan that we're doing here in St. Croix County. And not to put one of your commissioners, village president of Somerset, Ryan Seacard, on the hot seat, but we don't have a Safe Routes to School plan yet for Somerset School District. So they're one of the gaps yet in St. Croix County. The rest of the school districts, once Glenwood City is done, will have a Safe Routes to School plan. So the other gap you see in their southeast part of the county is Spring Valley School District. There aren't any schools in St. Croix County. There's obviously students and properties in St. Croix County, the part of Spring Valley School District, but no actual buildings that would be kind of say benefited by Safe Routes to School plan. And then finally, again, there's that Rain to Rivers display that we kind of carry over to those 3 member communities here in St. Croix County. I'll close with kind of our financing, our budget. Our 2025 budget is a little over $1.8 million. I'd like to highlight the kind of top left from like 10 o'clock to noon green wedge of 17%. That is the levy amount that is assigned from each of the 7 counties in aggregate. So just over $300,000 is through levy funding. Again, spread amongst all the 7 counties based on equalized value. So there's a percentage that's applied to each of the counties, and therefore that amount, it varies based on equalized value from each of the 7 counties. And then finally, that lower left wedge of 36%. So over a third of our funding comes from other contracts. So again, as we worked with St. Croix EDC and the housing study, there were some funds that were assigned to that would fall into that wedge. And again, just to give a quick snapshot of last year, this year, and next year, where those levy dollars fall for St. Croix County funding. You can see the numbers there. Just kind of slow increment. The overall increase that was adopted by the commission back in March. So they look at that every March for the following year already. So here we are in September, and that was already 6 months ago. They're thinking about 2026. So each of the counties can then look at those numbers and use that in their budgeting processes. But it was a 3% increase year over year, and that's been consistent over the last few years. And what that means for St. Croix County is actually a little bit less than 2%. Again, based on that equalized value component and percentage. So even though it's a 3% increase from this year to next, it's a little bit less than 2% increase for St. Croix County's component. And finally, again, just overall benefits of regional planning. We too are quasi-governmental, and therefore we have public and fiscal accountability to local governments, much like counties, cities, villages, and towns as well. Again, we have all those staff and professionals that help with these different types of technical expertise that's needed at the smaller governmental units in particular, where we fill those gaps in planning that can't be met in those areas. And again, as I mentioned, like for example, Water Resource Clearinghouse, we act as repositories for a lot of information as well. And then finally, before I hand it over to Amanda real briefly, what else should you know about us before we move on to Regional Business Fund? The next slide. Again, just kind of a summary of all those things. We have that same serving a public mission, and we like to leverage funds. So when you see those levy dollars, where do those go to? Those go to a lot of those things I mentioned already in terms of assisting with requests for information, helping with grant applications, and we use that for matching funds that we then leverage in other projects that I mentioned specifically already. So with that, I'll turn over to Amanda Veith to talk about Regional Business Fund before we see if there are any questions.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Amanda, and I'm the lending specialist for the West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission. Most of my time is devoted to working on the contract that the Regional Business Fund has with them. As you can see here, it's me, myself, and Toby Lemahue, the fund manager. We also have a processor, Jennifer Brixon. So we were created by the West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission to administer business revolving loan funds, and we have a staffing contract with the Regional Planning Commission. Next slide. Here you can see we are governed by a 9-member board of directors. The 9 members are here on this slide. Aaron Sundin is the St. Croix County representative who joined us late last year. You can go to the next slide. These are the programs that the Regional Business Fund offers. We offer low-interest loans to businesses that provide an economic benefit to the region. The loan funds are flexible and can be used for a variety of business financing needs. And the programs here that are listed do not compete with traditional financials, but rather we can provide an additional source of financing if and when needed. We kind of fill that gap in the funding structure for different businesses. You can contact us at any time, look at our website, or there is a brochure in all of your folders that lists all of our main programs. So this is just since inception, the impact that it has had on the St. Croix County. So we've assisted 197 businesses, 90 of which were startups, with almost $16 million in funding. As we get paid back, we reloan out the money over and over. The businesses that we've helped have created 1,231 jobs in St. Croix County and leveraged almost $137 million in private funding. Few businesses that we helped this year. First one here is Tender Loving Care. It was established in 2024 to purchase and operate a child care center that had recently closed its doors. So it's owned by Taylor Cran. She was an experienced child care provider and saw that need. She utilized the Regional Business Fund along with bank and personal financing to purchase the property and all of the furnishings inside so that she could reopen. This is Newts and Oz's Pub. That was purchased in 2022 by Jeff Osby and Jeff Fredrickson. It was a pizza and pub. They turned it into a local pub, but they were able to utilize our facade loan being in the historical downtown to renovate that exterior. They updated the roofing, the signage, the paint, all of those good things. This business here is Solace Health LLC. It was formed by a recent chiropractic graduate, Benjamin Hansen. It focuses on alternatives to traditional Western-based medicine by offering hyperbaric oxygen therapy and in-depth consultations to uncover root health issues. He used our revolving loan fund to assist with the purchase of the hyperbaric chamber that you see there. Also assisted this year were 2 business acquisitions for St. Croix Machine and D1 Rink Systems, Startup Rambo Engraving, and Bernard Real Estate with the facade loan that is in progress. These are, I'd like to recognize all the contributions that St. Croix County citizens make to our organization, including our board member, Aaron Sundin. And then this list here is our St. Croix County Loan Committee. They decision most of the requests for the area. So we've got Adam Bass, Rick Bonlender, Mark Casey, Lynn Pabst, James Kruger, Julie Wilson, and Jen Hayes, who joined last year. And thank you to also everyone in the economic development arena, Melissa Meschke, for being in the thick of things here in St. Croix County, and any other economic development professionals that may refer our services. Does anyone have any questions for Scott or I?
Well, say thank you to Scott Allen and Amanda Veith, and we will get to questions for you. We'll want to recognize Supervisor Burning and Hanson for their work on the Regional Planning Commission. And Ryan, why don't you raise your hand too? He's our other representative, sits on the executive committee. And I'll say that Supervisor Barkalow and Shirley and I are on the EDC, and we have a lot of requests for information. We get them promptly. I know the housing study was enormous. I think, was it Susan that ran that? Susan Badke, and again, you did a great job of outreach to the communities, making at least, as you say, 7 or 8 presentations around the county. So it brought your good work to everybody's attention. Are there any questions for the folks from the Regional Planning Commission? Seeing none, thank you again for that, and we'll call up the audit report.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Jonathan Sherwood. I'm a principal with Clifton Larson Allen. My whole goal tonight is to keep my comments as brief as possible for you. I did have a meeting with the Finance Committee last month, gave them a much more thorough comments for you than I will provide tonight. But if there is any questions as I go along, I'm happy to address them. Please stop me as I go along. And if I don't have the answers, thank you, Ken. You're already pre-thank you for that one. Before I dive into some general comments about the actual facts and figures of the financial results for 2024, I did have a 6-page summary report that I'll be going through, spare you the efforts from going through the 100-plus page audit report for you, a couple of brief remarks, and then I'll jump into some financial results for you. Just in total, I just want to take a quick opportunity to thank all of the county managers, all the county staff that we get involved with throughout the audit process. They make our job much easier with all their prompt responses and all the information that they gather for us in order to complete our activities. So CLA's the amount that we actually own, quote unquote, in your audit report is just limited to about 4 pages of that full 100-page plus document. That is the independent auditor's report. The rest of the facts and figures in the financial statements are the property of St. Croix County. So of that audit report, of the audit opinion that we grant over these financial statements, we issue what's known as an unmodified or a clean opinion. It's the highest level of assurance from an outside independent agency. So that's what we strive to be able to grant over these financial statements. And I'm happy to report that is our audit opinion of the 2024 audit report. It's what I refer to again as a clean opinion. So there's nothing in there that would raise to the level of concern from a financial impact that would need to be brought up in a meeting such as this. Also through our work, we also take a look at the internal controls, the processes over the county. And if there's anything within those internal controls that raise to a level of importance, this is my opportunity to dispel upon you guys here and let you guys know, here are some potential issues to keep your eye on. These 2 items that we have listed here, they're referred to as material weaknesses in my handout here. They're very, very common. These are actually the same as last year. These are should be very familiar to most folks that look at governmental financial statements. The first being material audit adjustments and the second being limited segregations of duties. So just these 2 items by themselves are just standing here. Again, these are not red flags, but these are something that you should be paying attention to and knowing what they are and what their meaning basically is for you. Material audit adjustments simply means that through the course of our audit work, we proposed audit adjustments that had they not been made, they would impact the readers of your financial statements to potentially make invalid opinions or invalid conclusions. So with all those audit adjustments now present in your audit report, again, have no worries about the information that is contained in your audit report. The second being limited segregations of duties. So this is just through the entire transaction cycle of the entire county. You don't have the staff available to have backups upon backups. You have the same person doing the recording, the approval, the reconciliation of certain aspects of your accounting system. So a good mitigating, compensating control is all of your county reports that you're reviewing at like the finance level, that all the proper transparency, questioning, getting backup and data, all of those questions is a good mitigating control coming down from governance, county board members asking questions, that sort of thing. I'd like to highlight those for people on the county board so you can just know that you're an integral part of your internal control structure here at the county. Also through our work, we do what's known as a federal single audit. We have to look at some of the federal funding that comes into the county, and if there's any compliance-related items, we would have to mention them at this point. But as of right now, there are no federal findings or anything that's related to a federal program that we would need to report for 2024. So that's a very positive result there for you as well. Through our work, we also do a separate standalone audit of the healthcare campus that is a separately issued financial statement, and then all that information is rolled up into the full county report. And I did highlight for the Finance Committee last month that there are some significant changes in terms of compliance items that are in that report now this year. So just so you know, if you look at this year's audit report, compare it to last year's, you're going to note a lot of compliance changes that was mandated by the department, by DHS. So that's the reason for those changes. A few other items that we take care of are at the bottom of that page there for you. To breeze through that for you. Now quickly, I'll just jump over to the next page 2 here. This is some financial information here, some results as of 12/31/2024. This first page has entirely everything to do with your general fund, the general operations of the county. I really only want to focus in on 3 quick lines for you here tonight, and those are the ones that are highlighted and shaded there for you. Under the fund balance section, That is your unassigned fund balance. That is your true reserves at the end of the year available to be used for future obligations. There's no restrictions, no assignments, no predeterminations on any of the balance that is sitting there and unassigned. So in terms of the financial health of St. Croix County, how do we actually look at that from an outside independent auditor's perspective? We take a look at the total expenditure line and say, what did it take to basically run the government for the entire year? Compare that to what you have set aside in unassigned or true reserves at the county, and we compute that final ratio, excuse me, the final ratio of being 47% of unassigned fund balance of general fund expenditures. So said another way, real quickly, is if you didn't take another dime of tax dollars or any other federal or state funding, you could essentially, effectively, at this point, operate the county for a roughly 6-month period of time. So you do have a board policy that's been adopted some years ago that percentage that we're trying to shoot for is 25 to 35%. So happy to report you're meeting that minimum fund balance policy. The upper end of that is 35%, and the policy does state that if there is excess there, that the administrator would, take some additional steps in order to reduce that to the appropriate amount, which was discussed last finance meeting of a transfer from the general fund into capital improvement fund to help self-fund some of those capital improvements. So from an outside independent audit standpoint, the general rule of thumb is anywhere between 25 and 33% is what I would expect or want to see in unassigned fund balance. So St. Croix County is financially healthy from that standpoint. It does help you limit and eliminate the entire need for any potential short-term borrowing, so it eliminates some interest expense that you might have. And also then, if you would have to go out for additional borrowings, it does allow you some more favorable borrowing terms. And then obviously, like I was just stating, it does give you the flexible financing in order to basically self-finance some, capital improvement needs that the county might have. So all very positive and highlight very positive attributes for fiscal results of 2024. The other small note I want to say for total expenditures there of just over $50.3 million for the year. In terms of what you would expect from a budget to actual standpoint, it was a favorable budget variance, so meaning that you came in underneath your overall budget by about $147,000. So you came within 0.5% of what you said you were going to spend. So I would term that very prudent budgeting to actual results. So, questions on the general fund?
I did have one quick question.
Sure.
You did give a very thorough report last month to the administration committee, and you mentioned that you transferred funds were transferred from the KIP and also to the debt service fund, as I understand. And effectively, that's a tax cut for people. I mean, that's what it amounts to. So I just wanted to make that point that it went to two things. One, the capital improvements, but also a tax cut for the people of the county. Go ahead, Mr. Sherwood.
Thank you. The next items here for you on page 3, these are all of the other activities that are supported from governmental activities. So the next set of funds here are special revenue funds. They're designated as such because they have specific or set aside restricted revenue sources. So when those funds are received by the county, they're restricted and must be spent for their set purposes. From my perspective, again, independent auditor's perspective, I would only have to comment on things here if something really jumped off the page of a significant increase, major decrease, or more specifically, deficit spending. What's the plan in order to cover that deficit? So happy to report that none of this activity here. Let me back up. The Health and Human Services Fund is the only fund here that is actually supported by any county levy, and you can see that called out there just on the top page. The 2024 current year levy going into the Health and Human Services Fund is just over $8.3 million, and that was set aside against $27.6 million in total expenditures for the year. Moving down to the other special revenue funds, backing up to my previous comment, none of those activities are supported by levy dollars at all during 2024. All of that is supported by other state or federal grants that goes to operate those activities. And again, the only time that I would have to call out anything more, in depth from there for you folks tonight would be if anything really, decreased or increased, astronomically. So I've got no further comments for you on your special revenue funds. Item number 3 is your capital projects funds. There are, I believe, 2 different capital projects funds that you actually operate within the county. One being the capital projects funds that basically entails all of the constructions of this building, the renovations, the additions. Everything is tracked separately through there. It makes it a little easier to budget for and actually keep track of everything there for you. And then the other one that you do have out there is just the general capital purchases, and that's annually ongoing, such as vehicles, major construction, bigger pieces of like fixed asset additions, for lack of a better term. And so the $28.9 million that you see set aside there, those are already pre-assigned or designated dollars to finish off those projects or support future capital needs. Item number 4 is your debt service fund. So GASB, which is the governmental accounting standards, they issue the rules that state that all of your debt service, all of your principal and interest payments must be accounted for in a debt service fund. So the set aside there, that $562,000 will be used for future debt needs, debt payments. During 2024, the debt service fund had just over $7 million in principal payments and just over $3.9 million in interest payments. So that's a total of just over $10.9 million in principal and interest payments for the year. I think that hit all the highlights there for us. The last type of fund, or actually you have one more type of fund, but they're very similar. They're known as enterprise funds or business type activities. So for all the business-minded folks in the room, you'll actually start recognizing some of these other items, such as long-term debt, capital assets. They're all built within these next couple of schedules. The first is the healthcare campus, which again is audited separately, rolled up into the financials. So these numbers, the reason I call that out, these numbers actually include a few non-cash items like depreciation expense. So I'll jump down to the current year change in net position, just over $732,000 for the year, but that does include an expenditure line, so it's working against $613,000 in depreciation expense for the building, all the assets that go into providing that service. So you can see that change in net position is significantly up as compared to 2023. The main driving cause of that would be the 2024 occupancy rate. I believe it increased about 20% over 2023. So very positive results from the healthcare campus in 24. Moving on to the highway department, same type of thing there. You do have some non-cash items that are working against that change in net position is the second line from the bottom. It's showing a loss of about $439,000 for the year. But again, that includes $2.1 million of expenditures on all of the equipment, trucks, and everything that are included in those activities. So overall, it's basically breaking even, providing services to all county-owned assets or all county-owned roads and whatnot, highways, and is also providing the services to the other municipalities within St. Croix County. Last page for you here for my comments tonight, being the internal services funds. So these are set-asides tracking the activity that provides services back to the county employees. Things like the health liability insurance fund, health insurance fund, everything laid out on top there. Again, these are the reserves that are going to be used to meet future obligations. Again, here we're looking for trends. If something decreases or increases, what is the story behind it? What is the actions that a county board would need to know about? Happy to report that your administrative team, your finance team is definitely on top of keeping track of where health insurance rates are going, what potential needs would be there in order to increase premiums to employees, potentially look at other benefit costs and whatnot. So the only one to really call out here for you is your health insurance fund. It did increase from 2023 to 2024, so it looks like on paper it had a really good year. One of the main driving forces behind that was about a $1.5 million transfer from the general fund going into the health insurance fund to kind of support that activity. So that's the only reason for that change. Everything else is kind of in line with what we're seeing in the industry here of health insurance rates, claims going against it, that sort of thing. Last but not least is your long-term obligations that are summarized here at the bottom. This is all outstanding debt that the county is responsible for. Really the highlight here is you are statutorily limited by how much long-term debt can be issued. So it's actually 5% of all the equalized value in the county. Very, very not likely at all that you would ever get to the statutory limit, but you're sitting at 13% here at the end of 2024. I usually say that a county is very highly leveraged, carrying a lot of debt. Anywhere between 35, 40%, you would start getting really, really, a significant debt load. So again, you're at 13%. The county did issue some debt subsequent to year end that's not included into this number. So even with an additional $7.5 million that was issued, you're only at 13.8% of that statutory limit, which again, I would consider, about average for what I would see for a government your size. Outside of that, I have no other further comments for you. If you want some additional light reading, there's some fun and exciting changes from GASB coming down the road. Maybe everybody else can get a little governmental accounting lesson here and study up on GASB 103 and 104. Those are more exciting changes for future years. So, any questions, I'm happy to address.
Thank you, Mr. Sherwood. I'm going to call on the chairman of the administration committee if he has any questions or observations, and then the county administrator for the same thing.
Thank you for the preparation. I have none because we covered most of it in admin, but thanks for putting me on the spot, Mr. Chair.
Another good audit report, so thank you to our auditors and to our finance team.
Thank you.
Wait. There may be other questions or observations from other supervisors. Are there any other questions? Supervisor Connor.
Just for recollection, from the meeting, the admin committee meeting that we were at, one of the things that was discussed too was we do have a considerably higher amount of funds that have been left over versus the 35% that we're trying. But one of the things I think that was brought up was that we're now at the end of the ARPA dollars that were infused into, which has naturally given us additional, so it's not necessarily that we're overtaxing, but we were taking advantage of the programs that were bringing funds into the county.
Yeah, specifically what I was referring to is in the trend from 2021 all the way through current, there was a very large influx of federal dollars into all local government organizations. So from 2021 through 2024, what the trend that we've been noticing from an audit perspective is that the percentages of unassigned fund balance, that percentage there at the bottom of page 2 for you, they have been very leaning towards the higher end if you look at a lot of municipalities within western Wisconsin, and that's strictly due to the federal dollars coming into the organizations and then those expenditures being matched up against them at a later point. So a lot of times when you're looking at 2021, you can see it's at 47.2%. A lot of that federal dollars came into all those programs, said, here's the money, now how do we spend it, sorting through some of that political red tape, some of the bureaucracy that they're kind of cutting through, and then also some of the supply chain tightening in terms of, hey, we have all this federal funding, we want to make a capital purchase, but maybe those trucks or those whatever it might be, just simply weren't available. So we can't spend the money if we can't actually receive the product. So sometimes that's what's been some of those causes of the increase in the unassigned fund balance. So yes, that was something that we also did discuss.
Seeing no other questions or observations, thank you, Mr. I'm sorry. Supervisor Van Summeren, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We've looked at a lot of figures and lots of dollars that have gone through this financial statement in the past year. I'm impressed. Everything is good. I wish you could speak a little faster so we could have gotten through this a little quicker.
I tried my best.
But, I'll bear with you. Anyway, I think Administrator Witt and his staff deserve a round of applause. We are in very good condition, and that's because of his watchful eye. So. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you for that, Supervisor Van Summeren. Is there any other observations or questions? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Sherwood, and we'll look forward to seeing you next year. With that, it's both with sadness and pleasure that we turn to the next item on the agenda, and that's recognition for the service of Supervisor Osnes. The administrator is going to make a formal presentation, but I'm just going to say that Dave hasn't been able to be with us the last few months as a result of a health issue. I have spoken to him. I've seen him. I've been with him a couple weeks ago. Honestly, Dave looks awfully good, and he's just the same old friendly Dave we've always known. Dave served as vice chair of this board. He has served for years as HHS chairman of that board. Forever and ever, he's been on the council and chairman of the Council on Aging and Disabilities. And I think he's a constant presence with Bob Roart and the HHS department, and has just given his lots of service to this county. I know from a personal perspective, when I first came on this board, Dave said, Bob, you got to get involved in some state activities. And he hauled me down to Madison, and I was just shocked. We would walk through the Capitol, and I swear, about every 2 minutes, a senator or an assemblyman would walk up to Dave and give him a big hug and say, hey, Dave, how are things going in St. Croix County? Dave knew everybody in Madison, it seemed like. And he was very generous in bringing a neophyte like myself along and meeting some of those people and sharing how we interrelated with Wisconsin Counties Association and that sort of thing. So with that, I'll turn to the administrator for the formal recognition of Dave's service.
Well, Chair Fearley just read my presentation. But Supervisor Osnes, he started with the county service back in 2008, so 17 years ago. He's the current oldest serving member on the county board for years of service. And as Chair Fearley was talking about, all of his participation, both at the county level, but the state level, and also the federal level with the different NACO committees. So he was very involved and very much appreciated representing the people of St. Croix County. So it's an honor to appreciate his years of service that he had for us. So thank you, Dave Osnes, for all of your years of service. Anyone else like to say a few words? Yeah.
Supervisor Hanson.
So I had coffee with Dave, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, and we discussed him deciding to hang it up and officially resign, and it was emotional. And Dave said he wasn't sure if he'd be able to be here today, and he said if he's not, that I would put forward his challenge, that we pick up where he left off, participating in state and federal governance. Dave was not always happy to, but he always stepped up when we didn't have a representative on a Wisconsin Counties Association board or a special study of the state legislature. He went to Washington to President Trump's luncheon for county supervisors during his last term. Things that most of us wouldn't think about doing, and he brought back experiences and things that we were able to grow from constantly. So David's challenge to us is that we look for opportunities to participate. Each committee has state committees that we can participate in, and many of those slots aren't full. So that's what he asked me to share with you, and I'd just add, thank you, David. You were very good and a great example for all of us.
Thank you, Supervisor Hanson. I was going to say, before we close that out, I don't know, Ken, if you showed the plaque that we'll be giving Dave, but if we could show that, so if he's watching over the internet, and if we could also give Dave a big round of applause. Thank you. With that, I'm going to turn to our chairman, Bob Long, who's joining us online. We have a couple of very important things to decide over the next couple of months, and Bob is going to review those with us relative to filling the vacancy for Supervisor Osnes and any other issues that might come up in the near future. Chairman Long.
Thank you. Sorry I can't be with all of you today, this meeting, but I wanted to at least give you, well, my personal thanks, first of all, to Supervisor Osnes for all these years. And we're all, a lot of us are going to be attending the WCA conference in another couple of weeks, and we should all look for those opportunities to get a little more involved. But I wanted to give you a real quick update as to the vacancy now in District 10, and just wanted to assure everyone that we will be moving ahead quickly to try to fill that vacancy. I'll be talking to Christine, our county clerk, to get that process moving, and the goal will be to have a qualified candidate recommended to all of you to vote on the November board meeting. And then there's also, I have some questions for the board, but I'm first actually going to yield the floor to Supervisor Anderson for a quick announcement. Supervisor Anderson.
Thanks, Chair Long. So today I'm going to let you all know that the October board meeting is my last meeting on the county board. I got a new job. I'm moving to Toma, Wisconsin for a great opportunity, so I'll be sad to be leaving all of you, but I will serve out the next month. Working hard, but just wanted to, I guess, formally announce that today.
Thank you, Supervisor Anderson. With that, I'll return to Chairman Long.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So all of a sudden, we're going to have another vacancy to deal with. So technically, the vacancy really won't occur until October. So all of a sudden, we're getting close to the end of the year, and so we really have two choices. We can try to accelerate as much as possible and try to get someone in that seat maybe by the December board meeting. Or the other option, since we've had the benefit of Supervisor Anderson working hard with us for the last almost the full term, we could wait until the election, the spring election in April. So that would be an option. It would be after budget season. And so I was just kind of interested, and I'd really like to get the feedback and the perspective, if anyone on the board has any preferences as to filling the vacancy on District 2, whether we should try to do that right away or go ahead and wait until the spring election. Any takers?
I'll call on Supervisor Burning.
Yeah, so my opinion is that we get, if not at least District 10's filled. They've been without representation for 9 months now. And it's not fair for the district that Sean represents either to not have representation, especially with issues that we're facing right now. I don't think my two friends, former Supervisor Scotty Yard and current Supervisor Ryan Shirley, their district went 23 months without representation, fighting out a battle in court, and that's not right. So whatever it is that we have to do, we should get someone in their place and have the applications come in and get those seats filled. That's my opinion.
Supervisor Hanson.
I would request that if there are more than one qualified candidate, that the county board have a chance to hear what those people have to say and then to make a decision to vote on which candidate might be the best. We did that before. There's a strong precedent for that. We did that several times, both under Roger Larson as chair and Dave Peterson. It works well and it's fair. So I'd make a request that we consider that. Thank you.
I believe that would require a change in the board rules. Other perspectives, feedback?
Chairman Long, I'm not seeing any other hand. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just want to make, I'm just concerned about getting too close to the end of the year where all of a sudden candidates are filling out and submitting nomination papers, and we run the risk of looking like we're deciding an election. And I want to be very careful of that because that would be obviously totally inappropriate. But otherwise, we will move ahead with District 10 right away.
Supervisor Rice.
I just wanted to echo that I share Supervisor Hanson's concern. I think what we're concerned about is transparency. We want to see who the candidates are that are being considered. I know you said it would require a change in board rules, and maybe that's something that we can consider quickly as well.
At this point, maybe I call on corporate counsel to share with everybody exactly what the board rules are on filling a vacancy and the role of the chair and the role of the board.
Yes, so Article 1, Section G3 addresses vacancies, and it states, if a vacancy occurs on the county board, the board chair shall seek candidates and recommendations for candidates. It goes on to say then that the board chair will then forward the candidate pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 5910, paren 3E, the chair, with the approval of the county board, shall appoint a person who is a qualified elector and resident of the supervisory district to fill the vacancy. And then the statute, which I just cited, 5910 3E, it does indicate also if a vacancy occurs on the board chairperson, with the approval of the board, shall appoint a person who is a qualified elector. So it states that the board chair is the one who seeks the qualified electors, makes a decision, forwards it on to the county board for their approval.
Supervisor Burning.
I'm no attorney, but there's a lot of shalls in there. So I'm wondering if this discussion is absolutely moot, since the board chair shall appoint. It doesn't say we discuss as a board whether or not we want to do this.
And it does say the chair with the approval of the county board. So if the chair brings someone forward, that person is not approved, then the chair has to go back and recommend another person.
Are there any further comments from members of the board? Supervisor Telejohn.
It doesn't say that only one person can be brought forward, though, does it?
Can you repeat that?
It doesn't say only one person can be brought forward. It could be two people brought forward for approval, couldn't it?
Well, it does say shall appoint a person who is a qualified elector. And these rules did change, I believe, about a year and a half ago. This vacancy process was a little bit different before, or maybe it was longer than that. And so actually they're updated in 2023. So I think the process that Supervisor Hansen was discussing was the previous process, and then I think this vacancy process was updated in 2023.
Are there any further comments, or Chairman Long, would you like to have any closing comments?
No, otherwise, if anybody else has any other feedback, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll go to the county administrator's report.
All right, thank you. One of the things I wanted to touch on in my report, everyone got their green books. It's basically, the green books are data that Forward Analytics puts together, showing different data and how you compare with the other counties. So St. Croix County, a lot of good things. We're second in growth. We had 10.21% growth. Compared to Dane County, who was the leader at 11.65, and third place behind us is Sawyer at 8.25. So we're quite a ways above them. Eau Claire as comparison at 7.48. Amongst the working age population, we're the highest rated. School age, we're the highest. So we have a young population here in St. Croix County. Seniors were amongst the lowest. So compared to the other counties, it just shows the demographic mix that St. Croix County has. Then when you look at the finance side of it, if you look at the total spending, you're at all the good financial stuff, but it's your policies that set that. The total spending's in the bottom half compared to all the other counties. Highway and HHS in particular, they're both in the bottom quarter for spending. If you look at the state aids though, so revenues coming in, we're also the lowest, second lowest in the state. So while our spending is low, our revenues coming from the state are also very low. Property taxes, we're in the bottom half, so we do keep property taxes low. And if you look at the property tax rate, it's in the bottom quarter. So you're doing a good job of maintaining that. But really, what all that analysis means is that we have a lot of growth, we have a young population, you're controlling the spending, but we're not getting a lot of other types of revenues in through state aids. So it really falls onto the tax levy. And you're doing the best job you can. If we had higher state aids, we'd probably have the lowest tax rate in the entire state. So that's really where the makeup is, and that's what I wanted to highlight on this month's financial report. But if there are any other questions on the financial report, I'd be happy to answer them.
I see no other questions on the financial report. Thank you, Mr. Administrator. With that, we'll turn to our business agenda, and the first thing we'll have on the business agenda is public comment on the 10 Mile Creek Solar Project. Very simply, everybody's filled out forms that wishes to speak, and everybody will get the opportunity to speak. Our rules provide that we try to limit those comments to 3 minutes, and we'd like that to be the case. But we will cover everybody. Everybody who signed up to make a comment can make a comment. I'll also add one other thing. I received an email from Mr. David Meyer, and Mr. Meyer asked if he could sign in by phone, but we can't do that really. It doesn't work. But if anybody knows Mr. Meyer, if they would like to let him know that he's got about an hour or so to come down and speak, or if you would like to represent his perspective, we'll surely let whoever gives him a contact say, hey, I've also spoken to Dave Meyer, and this is the way he feels about this subject. So we don't mean to exclude him in any way, but we just can't handle public comment without people being in the room. So we're going to do it exactly in the way people submitted their forms. And so I'm going to read off just a couple of names to get things started, and forgive me for pronunciation in certain cases, but we're going to hear from Kevin Kennard first, then Laura Kennard. If they'd like to come up as a joint couple, they can do that. They can come up separately as well. Then we'll hear from Scott Miller. I must say that when I spoke to Scott before we started the meeting, I just said to Scott it was totally up to him whether he would like to read into the record a couple of the petitions that have been circulated, or if he'd like to simply read a couple of their key points and submit them for the record. The clerk will accept the whole statement for the record, so it's up to Scott how he'd like to proceed on this, either way. So with that, I'll call on Kevin Kennard and or Laura if she'd like to join him. Oh, I'll let Scott go first. Scott, feel free.
Do you want, so I got myself and two others reading, there's 3 notices. Do you want us to read all of them right now?
If you would like to read the 3, that's fine. If you'd like to insert them and hit the highlights of what they are, that's fine. Your choice. And be sure to identify yourself.
I'm Danny Erickson, District 2. I have a point of clarity regarding the people's power I would like to read into the record. Notice to agent is notice to principal, and notice to principal is notice to agent. I, Danny Erickson, one of the people of the 50 American states, as seen in the Wisconsin Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, sui juris, Republican in form, and am serving you this notice so that you and your agents, as trustees and servants of the people, provide immediate due care. Please take notice that the people wish to give a point of clarity regarding the people's power and your positions as trustees and servants of the people. Article 1, Section 4, and Section 22 of the Wisconsin Constitution states that to maintain a free government, the people have the right to assemble for the common good, to instruct and regulate their government by bringing them to a frequent recurrence to fundamental principles. Wisconsin Constitution, Article 1, Section 4, rights to assemble and petition. The right of the people peaceably to assemble, to consult for the common good, and to petition the government or any department thereof shall never be abridged. Wisconsin Constitution, Article 1, Section 22, maintenance of free government. The blessings of a free government can only be maintained by a firm adherence to justice, moderation, temperance, frugality, and virtue, and by frequent recurrence to fundamental principles. New Hampshire, Part the First, Article 8, accountability of magistrates and officers, public's right to know. All power residing originally in and being derived from the people. All the magistrates and officers of government are their substitutes and agents, and at all times accountable to them. Government, therefore, should be open, accessible, accountable, and responsive. Maxim of law, a frequent recurrence to fundamental principles and a firm adherence to justice, virtue, and original law are indispensably necessary to preserve the blessings of liberty and good government. American maxim. Please take notice that when the people created government, they expressly wrote into the state and federal constitutions the grants and limitations of power we gave to government to work on our behalf for our common good. In that grant of borrowed powers, the people reserved to themselves all power, right, authority, and jurisdiction to themselves. It is important for you as trustees to understand that all rights, powers, authority, and jurisdictions are inherent in the people and are declared reserved to the people to ensure that government could not infringe on those rights. You will see throughout the 50 state constitutions where the people reserve these rights and powers equally among all people, and that these inherent rights do not end at state borders. This means that provisions in the bills and declarations of rights are applied to all states regardless of what state you are residing in. Please see evidence below. Wisconsin Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, Equality, Inherent Rights. All people are born equally free and independent and have certain inherent rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Virginia Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, People, the source of power. that all power is vested in and consequently derived from the people, that magistrates are their trustees and servants, and at all times amenable to them. Massachusetts Part the First, Article 1, text of Article 4. The people of this Commonwealth have the sole and exclusive right of governing themselves as a free, sovereign, and independent state, and do forever hereafter shall exercise and enjoy every power, jurisdiction, and right which is not or may not hereafter be by them expressly delegated to the United States of America in Congress assembled. Maxims of law. All political power is inherent in the people by decree of God. Thus none can exist except it be derived from them. American maxim. Maxim of law. The main object of government is the protection and preservation of personal rights, private property, and public liberties, and upholding the law of God. American maxim. Please give a point of clarity if you believe that the state constitution declares that all power is derived from the people and that you stand as substitutes and agents that must be open and responsive, as well as accessible and accountable to the people. Please respond in writing and publicly within 5 days. Thank you.
I am Roxanne Jorsted, and I live in New Richmond. I'd like to read into record the notice of the people's right to petition. Notice to agent is notice to principal, and notice to principal is notice to agent. I, Roxanne Jorsted, one of the people of the 50 American states, as seen in the Wisconsin Constitution, Article Section 1, sui juris, Republican in form, am serving you this notice that you and your agents, as trustees and servants of the people, shall provide immediate due care. Please take notice that the people have all authority and power over government, as the people created your seats, and all power originates in the people and is derived from them. See evidence below. Wisconsin Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, Equality, Inherent Rights. All people are born equally free and independent and have certain inherent rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Virginia Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, People, the source of power. That all power is vested in and consequently derived from the people. That magistrates are their trustees and servants, and at all times amenable to them. Maxim of law, all political power is inherent in the people by decree of God. Thus none can exist except it be derived from them. American maxim. Please take notice that the people have the sole and exclusive right to speak freely and petition their government for the common good. The right to petition includes instruction and regulation of their trustees and their agents by providing a frequent recurrence to fundamental principles. Wisconsin Constitution, Article 1, Section 3, free speech. Libel. Every person may freely speak, write, and publish his sentiments on all subjects, being responsible for the abuse of that right, and no laws shall be passed to restrain or abridge the liberty of speech. Wisconsin Constitution, Article 1, Section 4, right to assemble and petition. The right of the people peaceably to assemble, to consult for the common good, and to petition the government or any department thereof shall never be abridged. Wisconsin Constitution, Article 1, Section 22, maintenance of a free government. The blessings of a free government can only be maintained by a firm adherence to justice, moderation, temperance, frugality, and virtue, and by frequent recurrence to fundamental principles. Please take notice that the people are aware that county board members have been violating these fundamental liberties and powers of the people by using parliamentary procedure and processes meant solely to govern themselves, setting time limits and closing comments during public meetings are actions that are being used to block the people from speaking. These procedures are only meant to govern government trustees when they are operating among themselves and not with the people. The Constitution declares that the right to speak and petition cannot be abridged. Where does it say that there is a grant of power for government to regulate the amount of time one of the people can speak, or when they can block one of the people from petitioning? The people see the grant of authority written nowhere in the Constitution. As trustees of the people, you all swore an oath to uphold the state and federal constitutions. Blocking the people from exercising their inherent rights to speak and petition without interference is a trespass against the constitutions and are unofficial acts to which there is no immunity. Any act by trustees done outside of the grants given by the people can be held accountable for breach against the public trust and injury done to the people. Wisconsin Constitution, Article 4, Section 28, Oath of Office. Members of the legislature and all officers, executive and judicial, except such inferior officers as may be by law exempted, shall, before they enter upon the duties of their respected offices, take and subscribe an oath or affirmation to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and faithfully to discharge the duties of their respective offices to the best of their ability. Trump versus United States, 603 U.S. 2024. No immunity for unofficial acts. Miranda versus Arizona, 384 U.S. 436, parentheses 1966, parentheses. Where rights secured by the Constitution, parentheses S, parentheses, are involved, there can be no rulemaking or legislation which would abrogate them. Please take further notice that the people are also aware that our trustees are using bar attorneys and legislative councils to intercede and give advice on whether our trustees must follow the lawful instruction and demands of the people. There is no grant of authority granted by the people for attorneys or any other private actors to interfere with the people and their trustees. The Constitution is a public trust contract between the people and their government. Bar attorneys are not a party to the contract and therefore have no authority to interfere with the authority of the people over government. Maxim of law. The contract makes the law. Blacks, 2D 704. Booth 135. Allen versus Merch Bank of New York, 22 Wend, New York, 215, 233. Please take final notice that it is my wish, order, and demand that the county board return to the fundamental principles of what is written in the public trust contract, and you immediately cease and desist in blocking the people's right and authority to speak freely without time limits when being instructed by the people that as public servants of the people, you shall respond and not dismiss the people in their questions or lawful demands, and that you immediately cease and desist in using bar attorneys to answer questions on constitutional grants of authority, powers, and limitations you are bound to know. These private actors are harming our trustees by misrepresenting what is written in the law and putting them in maladministration to their oaths of office. If you believe that the claims made in this notice to be untrue, or that you, as trustees of the people, have the constitutional authority to deprive the people, who hold all authority and power, of their rights to regulate and instruct, speak freely and petition their government, and use private actors to block the people from exercising their inherent rights, then you must respond via affidavit, point by point, under penalty of perjury within 7 days of receiving this notice, or you agree by acquiescence that all claims made here are truth and fact. Further, you agree that you are acting with full intent, knowledge, and malice by trespassing against one of the people, and no court of record shall be able to rehear this matter, but it shall stand as evidence, truth and fact in all courts of record. Any man or woman who decides to suppress this notice agrees to pay $30,000 per infraction, and any disputes by any public officials or private sectors who are bound by contract to the Wisconsin Constitution agrees to have these matters heard before an arbiter of my choice. This notice is sent to you in the peace and with the love of Christ, so that you may provide due care to those that hold all authority, the people. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate you guys taking the time to allow us to read these into the record. I think it's super important from a standpoint. I think if we all better understood our Constitution, everybody in this room, our governments above us would act a lot different today. So that's why I really appreciate your time, and that's why I think this is important. I did hand this one. This notice came out. I emailed it this afternoon. So you guys, that's what I handed you guys, and you do have an email from me with it as well. So this is a notice and demand to cease and desist use of public money for non-public purposes such as economic development. Notice to agent is notice to principal, and notice to principal is notice to agent. I, Scott Miller, one of the people, as seen in the Wisconsin Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, Republican in form, sui juris, do serve you this notice by necessity that you do provide immediate due care. Please take notice that all power is inherent in the people, Wisconsin Constitution 1, Section 1, and that the people have the right to lawfully instruct their government, Article 1, Section 4, and Wisconsin Constitution, Article 1, Section 22, and all entities, including corporations and bodies politic, are created with the permission of the people and are obligated to act in good faith and due regard solely of the people's benefits. See evidence below. Maxims of law. Good faith demands that what is agreed upon shall be done. Maxims of law. The welfare of the people is the supreme law. And please take notice that all government servants have an unavoidable obligation to public money for public purpose, and that the use of public money for public purpose without constitutional authority is an unofficial act of which there is no immunity. Trump versus United States, 603 U.S. 593, 2024. In Black's Law Dictionary, first edition, taxes are defined as burdens and charges imposed by the legislature upon persons and property to raise money for public purposes. And in Black's Law Dictionary, second edition, public purpose is defined as, in the law of taxation, this is a term to distinguish the objects for which according to the settled usage, the government is to provide for those which are left to private interest. Authorities granted in the Constitution must be used exactly as specified without any departure. Furthermore, if the constitutions do not expressly grant such authority, it does not exist. See evidence below. Maxim of law. From the word of the law there must be no departure. Maxim of law. The expression of one thing is the exclusion of another, and please take notice that according to the settled usage and the text, history, and traditions in constitutions and economic development, such as solar farms, wind farms, carbon sequestration, and data centers, are not public purpose. See evidence below. North Dakota Constitution, Article 1, Section 16, a public use or a public purpose does not include public benefits of economic development, including an increase in tax base, tax revenues, employment, or general economic health. See also Louisiana Constitution, Article 1, Section 4. See also Wisconsin Constitution, Article 1, Section 13, and Wisconsin Constitution, Article 8, Section 2, Section 3, and Section 10. Loan v. Topeka, Loan Association v. Topeka, 87 U.S. 651874. We have established, we think, beyond cavil, that there can be no lawful tax which is not laid for a public purpose. It may not be easy to draw a line in all cases so as to decide what is public purpose. In the case before us, there is no difficulty in holding that this is not such public purpose as we have been considering. If excuse me, if it be said that a benefit results to the local public of a town by establishing manufacturers, the same may be said of any other business or pursuant which employs capital or labor. No line can be drawn in favor of manufacturers which would not open the coffer for the public treasury to importunates of 2/3 of the businessmen of the cities or towns. See also Parkersburg versus Brown, 106 U.S. 487, 1883, and Cole versus LaGrange, 113 U.S. 1, 1885. And please take further notice that the fact that the public monies has already been used for non-public purposes creates no validity to continue the use of public monies for such purposes. It remains an unofficial and voluntary act for which there is no immunity. See evidence below. Maxim of law. Things invalid from the beginning cannot be made valid by subsequent acts. Maxim of law. Certain legal conquests are attached to the voluntary act of a person. Loan Association versus Topeka, 87 U.S. 6518. If the legislature was without power and its statute is void, payment of interest, which was equally unauthorized, cannot create a power to levy taxes resting on the fact that they have once been illegally levied for the purpose. Question: where in the Wisconsin Constitution is a grant of authority to use public monies for non-public purposes? Failure to show this constitutional provision means that you understand and agree that public monies cannot be used for non-public purposes. Please take final notice that it is my wish, order, and demand that the people provide remedy by immediately ceasing and desisting using public money for non-public purposes. If you believe that the government has been granted the power to use public monies for non-public purposes, please respond with the constitutional grant of authority, and you agree that this practice is unlawful. Furthermore, please respond if you disagree with any of the claims within the notice. All response shall be received within 5 days of the receipt of this notice by sworn affidavit, point by point, under penalty of perjury, or you agree to tacit acquiescence to all claims herein. And this notice shall stand as evidence against you all in courts of record, that no court may rehear this matter, that this matter may be heard by an arbiter of my choice, and that remedy as instructed is not given. The people to whom you swore an oath to will be recognized as being done purposely with full knowledge, malice, and intent. All responses not sworn under penalty of perjury are considered non-responses. This notice is sent in the peace and the love of Christ, that you provide due care to those who hold all the power, the people. Finish with the two maxims of law. Maxim of law, one lawfully command must be obeyed. Maxim of law, judicial notice is a form of evidence. Thank you, and I appreciate all your time.
Thank you, Mr. Miller, Mr. Erickson, and Jorsted, for those reading that into the record. Now we'll go to our public comment. Earlier I'd mentioned Kevin Conrad, and if you'd like to be joined by Laura, fine. If you'd like to appear separately, that's fine too.
Hi, I'm Kevin Conrad, and my only comment tonight is Jason came to you at the last meeting and said that the county was going to get this $1.4 million in revenue from this solar project. That only accounts for if we have sun and if it works. That is not a true number that the county is going to get $1.4 million. They may not get anything at all. And the townships that this is going into may not get anything at all. But I think Jason gave you the pie in the sky, but did not give you the downside of this if it doesn't work. That's my only comment.
Thank you, Mr. Kennard. Did Laura have a comment?
Oh, yeah.
Hi, I'm Laura Connard. I live in Erin Prairie. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight, and thank you for the service that you do and the time that you spend helping make these decisions for the county. I'm glad you're considering the resolution tonight regarding authorizing intervening. However, I have concerns that it doesn't seem to go far enough. Some things seem to be missing from it. There's not a statement of intention if the intervention is to support or deny the project or oppose the project. So you're kind of not telling us anything more. The county can intervene at any point in time. You're just saying we're going to research so that we're prepared if and when we decide to do it. I think the public has spoken and shared with you what it wants pretty clearly. But there has been no affirmation that we're being heard and that you're going to follow suit about what we want. It also doesn't talk about approving a budget or hiring counsel or experts that have experience and specialized knowledge so that they can be effective in the intervening. I want to believe that you're acting for our best interest. I want to believe that you're following your mission and your values. But this seems like a little bit of a pacifier, just saying we are going to look into intervening, but it doesn't really tell us much about what that means. I'm scared some public is going to see this or hear it or read a newspaper article and see that, oh, there's a resolution that they're going to intervene and they think that it's taken care of and that the county is going to work hard to stop this project. I know we've got a tough course again ahead of us, working against the PSC on challenging this project, but someone has to be the first person that's effective in challenging them. And the tides are turning on this project. The secretary of the USDA said She's not supporting this, and she doesn't want government dollars used for this. She is the expert in the country, the highest position, talking about how our prime agriculture is used. Agriculture is near and dear to my heart. And I want you to help me protect it. Energy is important. Renewable resources are important, but doing it well, doing it right, putting it where it's appropriate and where it should be is important. So be careful about what you're doing tonight on voting on this resolution. Make sure the resolution has teeth and says what you want it to. Also, you gave yourself 2 months to work on educating yourself and learning about this project. I thank you for having the meeting with the townships. I think that was not quite what everyone expected, or that you got the answers that you wanted. So I'm curious about what you're doing to further educate yourself so that you're ready for this decision in a month. This decision got permanent and lasting impacts. It's important. Feels like it's being rushed through right now. I've asked before to consider a moratorium. I don't know if that's the right step to take, but doing something to make sure that you have the right information, and this is you understand all the ramifications, all the costs, all the risks. I had 2 more points that I'll make quickly if you'll allow me. In previous meetings that I've been at, you guys have been talking about public nuisances. You've said that horse manure on the road is a public nuisance. There have also been people who talked about a man who had an application before the, I think it's the, I'm going to say planning commission, that's not the right word that you guys call it, but he wanted a home occupation or a home business for fixing lawnmowers and doing handyman type work. And it was said that his excess of cars and the potential of these items that he was going to fix were a public nuisance, and that you had to go to the township first and ask their opinion. You guys have proceeded for months going ahead with 5,000 acres of solar panels on farmland, and no one has said it's a public nuisance. No one has, well, I shouldn't say no one. There's been a lot more effort at figuring out how we do a joint development agreement, how we work with Excel, how we get this project approved rather than stopping it. Yet horse manure on the road and someone trying to have some lawnmowers in his front yard. They need fencing and screening for the neighbors to protect them. I'm going to steal the words that you used earlier tonight, or that someone used on behalf of David Osnes. Step up. Step up as you make the decisions about this important solar project decision. Seek opportunities to serve, seek opportunities to get involved, seek opportunities to be the first county that is effective in preventing a land use that is inconsistent with the comprehensive plan, that's inconsistent with the zoning, and that's inconsistent with what the public wants. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kennard. Just real quickly, the next person up is Jan Shapurek, and they'll be followed by Bonnie Smith and then John Van Dyke. So we'll call on Jan.
My name is Jan Sapurick. I currently live in Baldwin, and I formerly lived in Forest Township, and before that I lived north of Hudson in the country. I've never much liked how so many deals are done in secret. To me, the whole thing seems kind of backwards. The developer secures contracts with individuals before getting permission from the county or the PSC, and before most anyone knows what's going on. When the county learned of the proposed solar project, I believe the lawyers suggested a joint development agreement. Aren't lawyers supposed to provide good advice to their clients? If they provide advice you don't like, get a second opinion. Research your options. Instead of delegating production of a JDA to a committee or individuals, do your own homework. My husband had a saying, when you outsource, you lose control. I've often said, if you want anything done right, do it yourself. Don't rely on your opponent to give you accurate information. When Excel was here, I did not like most of their answers. That's not part of our project. It's just a polite way of saying, no, we're not going to negotiate. The town board members did brief introductions, and Brian Elwood got how long to tell how wonderful Excel is? That was way past my attention span. I'm pleased to see that several county board members have done research and educated themselves. I feel to pass the resolution to intervene at the PSC is the wisest choice. Yes, it will cost money for lawyers and experts, but it will prevent so many expensive problems in the future. Even if the PSC does approve the solar project, it can be appealed and further delayed, maybe even until the big credits expire. Maybe even a different governor will appoint 3 different PSC commissioners. That's what the whole process comes down to, 3 people voting. I know some people say it's a done deal, like it's hopeless, but I don't believe that. It's not done until the 3 commissioners vote. Even then, it's not done. It appears to me that Excel did not consider the karst until local people raised the issue. Now they're going to have a consultant. Gee, maybe when you build something, start with a firm foundation. That does not instill confidence in me. I was married to a farmer for 37 years who lamented they always use the best farmland to build houses on. This taking of prime productive farmland out of agricultural production is a crying shame. Mid-August, going through Iowa and Nebraska, I saw no corn as nice as Aaron Prairie. I'm a little bit confused after the meeting with Excel. Did someone say there can be a JDA, which is a signed contract, and then the lawyers will make some verbiage that we agree, but we can change our minds later? They teach that in elementary school. That's called weasel words. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead.
Thank you, Jan. Ms. Smith.
Bonnie Smith, Baldwin Township. The whole point is just say no. I hope everyone here has listened to the August 21st meeting. Let's be clear. We are not coming here to change the world, but to protect our land, health, and safety for our generations. We are coming here again to ask you as our elected officials to stand up and say no to Excel's 5,000 plus acre solar complex, and then intervene on the people's behalf. Go to the PSC with good legal representation and say no. Stop playing and schmoozing with Excel. They're not your friend. They are blatantly lying to you. This is an experiment to them and they don't care. What do you keep trying to agree to and why? Everyone knows only fools sign agreements with unknown contracts. Carrie Reese said on August 21st, "We don't have the money or the power. Go to your towns, don't look to us." This affects all of us, including you. We are stronger when we stand as one. Will you be bold and lead the way? This is not taking money out of your pockets. Just like the $75 million that you're excited to spend on a new state-of-the-art jail, this money comes from taxpayers. We, the people. It's easier to pay $100 more a year on taxes now than to pay much more later for the restoration and lawsuits that will come. The county board has shown a lot of power deciding for the towns and residents. I've watched as many decisions are made by you about what residents can or can't do with their land. Also, towns referring to your power over things because county trumps over their comprehensive plans. Or that the county would decide such a thing as huge as the solar complex without hearing from the towns. To finally hear them now speaks loudly. Did you listen to them? You said you didn't know enough about this, and yet you have heard from people from all walks of life speak facts that they researched on their own time or do as their profession. You have shortened speaking time of individuals and sent home people without being able to speak at all because you wouldn't take the time to listen to them. That speaks volumes. At the August 21st meeting, Richard Hesslink, the Ag Commissioner, spoke to the board. He had a word of encouragement to follow your vision and mission. Yes, that's been said here before too. He also had great wisdom to do what your people want, not what your own best idea is. The people voted you in and they can vote you out. Listen to those great words of wisdom again. Listen to him. There has been common sense, encouragement, and great wisdom spoken from many who have gone before you. There are warnings that come from the St. Croix County website. Read it all again. I am emailing you some of the names and individuals and groups that have contributed to reports and information on groundwater and geology in the St. Croix County area, including topics related to sinkholes. You can contact them to apologize to them if you think somehow your good ideas trump their educated and researched findings. High risk and extremely vulnerable are written by them in your website. So to be clear again, just say no, then intervene with good legal representation. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. We'll now hear from John Van Dyke, and Carrie Willoughby is on deck.
Thank you. I feel like this is the sixth time I've been in front of you people. I want to remind you, we do have farmland preservation, and I really think we need to follow that. That's a county, that's a state, that's a town thing that we agreed to. We're a comprehensive plan stating that we're an agricultural community. We want to remain it that way. And if you look at a lot of what we do, it's safety. We plow snow 4 in the morning or whenever we need to be plowing snow. We have a great working relationship with the highway department, with Robbie Creechy and Kim Ramberg before that. We have a good ambulance service, a good fire department. It's all safety related. And now all of a sudden we're coming with this program, or Excel is, we have a chance of having PFAS in the water. They can try to do a good job, but we're going to have weather problems. We had hail, we had a minor tornado, we had wind. There's 80 homes right next to where these solar panels are. And trust me, St. Croix County is going to be involved in this thing. If that wind blows and those solar panels hit the siding of those houses, those people are not going to turn it into their insurance and pay $1,000 or $2,000 deductible. They'll come after Excel. But if Excel, as they've already shown us, they don't reply very well, they'll come after you. You will be responsible. If the water's contaminated, hopefully now with PFAS, there's 2 of us in this room that have worked with PFAS problems. Trust me, the worst kind of meeting you ever want to be at when you see these people suffering because of this PFAS problem. Hopefully we don't have that. There's a reason that they had these batteries and open up the lids. That's to release the pressure. They overheat, and they overheat because they're not charged properly. And then you're emitting this stuff into the air. If that gets in the water, we got a major problem. We're the fastest growing county in St. Croix County for years, percentage-wise. Don't ruin it by having this stuff blowing around. If you look at what it is, why are we taking the risk from all this stuff? From wind, from hail, tornadoes, possibly water contamination. We have karst subsoil. That's a lime rock. Hopefully you've gone to that pit already because that's sand. It doesn't molecularly hold its structure. It will end up in the water. When Excel, I asked them at that meeting, how many pylons you put in? Remember what they said? Oh, we don't know. How the hell can you not know? We knew 2 years ago when New Richmond did a 1 acre solar thing. Take a look at it. It's north of Walmart. Take a look at that. There's 800 solar panels, 800 with pylons in each one of them. So they don't know. They sent letters out June of 24. I got a letter. I farm with my oldest son. We have a 70-cow dairy herd. I would never sign up land that would hurt my neighbors and the people of Aaron Prairie. We've got a very good working relationship. I've never in 24 years of being chairman have I ever had a complaint from the residents of Aaron Prairie about farming. They like to see that corn grow and the soybeans and hay cut. They don't want to see plastic. And that's what it is, people. It's plastic. And plastic, as it ages, and especially in direct sunlight, it gets very brittle. Now where's it going to go when it blows around? You can't pick that stuff up. Who's going to tell those kids, don't play in the yard when we're mowing lawn because there might be this plastic sharp objects out there? Think about this. It's all risk. Where's their gain? What do we gain? Absolutely nothing. The electricity goes to Minnesota. They said that. They're going to shut down the coal plant, and this is where the electricity is going. Now, they also mentioned there's over 100 plants that produce electricity. I can't believe that some of them cannot be improved to produce more. Even the coal plant's only at 40% capacity. It can produce more. There's a lot of plants that can do more. They can update that. Electricity's a grid. It's like your road. You punch in on your phone where you want to go. Takes you from the interstate to the state, to the county, to the city, to a town. That's what electricity is. They can direct it around. I got to slow down. So somebody said that at the last meeting, you're kind of like an old diesel tractor. I said, the hell are you talking about? Well, yeah, it takes you 5 minutes to get going, but then you warm up and go all day. So anyway, think about this, people. The time to stop it now. Don't push these problems onto your kids or grandkids. It's going to happen, and we gain nothing. We gain nothing out of this. It's profit for Excel. Hopefully, none of you are on the Excel board. I've been on 3 to 5 boards for 50 years. I can tell you all of them. If there's no gain, don't do it. If there's risk, don't do it. The risk is ours, St. Croix County residents. The profit is Excel. Why do that? Thank you.
Thank you, John. Carrie Willoughby, please. And she'll be followed by Steve Woldea. Or, well, I must have butchered that one. Carrie?
I'm Carrie Willoughby, and I'm from Baldwin, the village of Baldwin. I'm not as fiery as John, but we'll hit some similar points. Here we are again, and it seems like we're repeating ourselves over and over, and the evidence is clear, and after the meeting with Xcel Energy, the reality is obvious. For almost a year of trying to gather information and educate the community about this project, we have seen the St. Croix County Board unwilling or slow to really look at the information. This is a critical decision. Per the meeting a couple weeks ago, you've gotten no more concessions or little accommodations by Xcel Energy and no more specifics. Xcel's lack of specifics is one of the reasons we came to you in the first place. At township meetings, we asked these questions to help clarify how this project was going to impact St. Croix County over and over, and Brian from Xcel gave no clear information. The township should have been the first step in the process, and instead it was the last, because somehow government employees could come up with an agreement without the feedback or concerns of those who live in the area. We do not want a JDA, as it is a sure sign to the PSC that we are okay with few concessions from Xcel and yielding our rights to either the state or Xcel. We are asking you to fight and be an intervener on our behalf. Every decision is a balance of risk versus gains, and the risks here far outweigh the gains. The idea of green energy sounds so great, but if you do the research, large solar complexes are not efficient or an effective long-term source of energy. They are weather dependent for both their use and their functional life. They use a lot of non-renewable energy to both create the panels. They use a lot of non-renewable energy to ship the panels. They use a lot of non-renewable energy to help provide backup energy when the installed panels lose their efficiency. The chemicals in the panels and the fact that they are considered hazardous material and hard to recycle is not green. As with the Range Wisconsin solar project, shipping panels to Africa, hoping to have it paid for by some grants because they don't know where the money will come from to clean it up, is not acceptable or environmentally friendly. It is expensive to decommission a solar project. We should not be agreeing to a JDA without very specific stipulations on the decommissioning of the solar project and the actual monetary amount this county will receive if this project moves forward. All specifics should be in writing, and they are not. And Xcel hasn't done so in the past and currently has no intention of doing so. Because we have plenty of examples like 3M's contamination issues, what is Xcel's plan to clean up the groundwater if contaminated? How will St. Croix County pay for the groundwater cleanup? The JDA will not work. There is no positive trade-off or comparison of the value of an industrial solar project to agriculture. While there are risks and benefits with both, they are not at all alike. The variations of karst soil in this county, and we haven't done any geoengineering studies to give us the information to see where all those levels are. With the implementation of millions of solar posts and battery storage will only allow contaminants a quicker route to our aquifers or groundwater. 70% of Wisconsin relies on groundwater for their water supply, both municipal and private wells. And we count on soils to do the job of filtering of our water. The fragility of karst soil conditions here in St. Croix County is a big problem for this project. If you haven't read the info that I sent in an email on karst, please read it. And as was stated before, you have some of that information on your county website. The risks: sacrificing quality farmland with currently good soil, impacting wildlife and habitats, destroying water quality and creating runoff and wastewater issues, and lowering land and property values. The benefits: money for Xcel, money for the Chinese solar producers, and who knows what money will actually trickle down to our county, or more importantly, our townships. Xcel cannot give you hard and fast numbers as it will be dependent on how much energy this project can provide. Another intangible factor, like the prediction of the sun shining in this county. Let's get real. No one wants to live next to a solar complex. The land mass footprint of these complexes is huge compared to other types of energy. You are being intellectually dishonest to state that residents won't have huge decreased land values. At the last planning meeting, a resident called in and stated he had his property on the market for some time, and the first question asked by everyone who viewed or inquired about the property is about the future of the solar complex. No one wants to live close to this. And while you may not experience this reality wherever you all live, you are the representatives for all of the people of St. Croix County, including the neighborhoods and homes or properties who are supposed to be surrounded by solar panels. Your personal feelings about solar need to be set aside as you are voting on life-changing, environmentally hazardous risk with no guaranteed benefit. Please vote no on the JDA and intervene with the PSC against Xcel's solar complex. Remember, Brian Elwood from Xcel himself stated they did not need the project to supply the power that would end from closing the Bayport plant. They will get it from the already established nuclear sites in Minnesota. Thank you for listening.
Carrie, thank you. Our next speaker is Stephen, and I don't want to butcher your name again, Stephen. I will just note for everybody, it's now 7 o'clock. We've been going for about 2 hours. We've gotten through about half the public speakers. As we said earlier, everybody who's here tonight who signed a card will be able to speak. We just urge you to make your points eloquently, as everybody has so far. And keep in mind that you've got some neighbors behind you that would like to speak. So we welcome you, Steve.
Wadega, for the record. But I'm used to it, so it's not a big deal. Excel presented their final draft to this county. It said so in the document that they sent. But the counties tried to work with them. They set up a meeting with the county, the town of Hammond, the town of Aaron Prairie, and if their final draft wasn't enough to reason why, don't deal with them, their closing argument at that meeting should have been enough to send the county and their closing argument at that meeting is why the county and the PSC needs to send Excel packing back to Minnesota. As Hammond Township put it, Excel's given us a bunch of nothing in answering the issues. That's what they said at the meeting, and that's what we got, was a bunch of nothing. We were all there that Monday, and it wasn't earth-shattering. Excel was asked to introduce their people at the meeting, and they gave us a 20-minute commercial. When asked if they considered the impact of the 10-mile project to the farmland and community, et cetera, all they could say is that it's the cheapest option. They keep claiming that they need to use the current transmission lines because it's the cheapest route. But they're not going to use the current transmission lines because the ones can't handle this electric going to Minnesota. They need to put new lines in. Whether they can put them in the same and expand that easement or whatever, I don't know, put them above it or whatever, but those lines cannot handle the electricity that this project is going to supposedly generate. They claim they have the cheapest rates around. That's what they said at the meeting. But FindEnergy.com ranks NSP as 86 in Wisconsin for a residential rate. St. Croix Electric, on the other hand, is 53 as a residential rate. We are now 120 days till the end of the year. They said they're going to file by the end of the year. They said that you guys will get the documents when they file the application. Well, Wisconsin Legislative Council has an informational memorandum. It tells about the whole timeline and everything else that goes on with it. At least 60 days before filing the application with the PSC, the pre-applicant must submit an engineering plan to the DNR. This plan must indicate the project's anticipated effects on air and water quality, wetlands, solid waste disposal capacity, and other natural resources. That's 60 days. So if they file on December 31st, that's 60 days from now that they'll have it. You should be getting that before the application files if they're going to be honest with you and are straightforward. 30 days before that, for providing an engineering plan, they need to contact the PSC and provide preliminary information and seek input from them on certain things. DNR and PSC must confirm with the pre-applicant to assess the project scope, analyze alternatives, identify. There's a whole series of stuff, and I'm not going to cut it short, whatever. I'm going to leave this with you guys. But there's a whole series of things that are happening before an application filed. So when they say that they don't have the information, that's hogwash. An agreement needs to be negotiated in good faith. Excel is not negotiating in good faith with you guys. They're treating you guys as suckers. If they were, there'd be no reason why the county and the town would receive pertinent information and all these studies and everything else like that that's there, existing there now, or will be there before the application. You guys would get it before that, not after. It was brought up before about your mission. To be the county that delivers service with compassion and respect for the people and the environment. Is that what you stand for? If it's not, then you need to change it. Your mission. We will strengthen our social and economic future by providing health, safety, and well-being for all. It doesn't say for Excel, it says for all. It says for your people. The residents are the ones that pay, not the corporations. Residents of St. Croix County need to be heard on the issues at the state level, and you are our voice. It was mentioned earlier about the retirement and stuff like that. Look for opportunities to participate. Well, wake up. Here's an opportunity to participate. Get off your duff, get out there, participate, intervene, sue, do what you have to do to represent the people of this county. Because the board member that left would have probably done something like that. So yes, the county needs to protect the health and safety of the residents, our farmland, an exorbitant Excel bailout that's going to happen in the future if we don't protect ourselves. If that means intervening, then the county needs to intervene. If that means suing the PSC and Excel, then the county needs to do that. If it means doing both, then the county needs to do both. Because our county matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. I forgot to announce who our next couple of folks were, so I'll do that now. Scotty Ard, if she's here. Is Scotty here? I know she was here earlier. If she's around, she can come in later. The next speaker would be Carol Ivans.
It's Ivans, but no
I'm
big
sorry.
deal.
And Carol, you'll be followed by Jim Runke.
I'm sorry, what
I'm
was
just
it?
saying, Jim Runke will be following you. So
okay.
just put him on notice.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. I'd like to know if so-called green energy is so efficient, cost-effective, and all the other hype that we're supposed to just believe because the experts keep repeating their lies, then why is China building coal plants as fast as they can and selling solar panels to us? Why did Spain and Portugal have a lengthy, dangerous blackout after an expensive transition to more green energy while they phase out historically reliable sources? And I could go on on that. We, the people, the citizens, the taxpayers, still know how to think for ourselves, and we're not buying the narrative that the so-called experts are trying to sell us. After COVID, why would we believe them? And I realize that some people don't agree with me or the other people that have spoken so far. There were a lot of them here in August. I don't know where they all are tonight. But based on my own experience and the results of the last election, it looks to me like more people are interested in America being for Americans and for and not for things like this green energy, as the last administration kept on trying to push green energy on us, and people clearly voted against all that stuff. You, the members of our county board, swore an oath to uphold the U.S. and Wisconsin constitutions, which gives you the job of serving us, of representing us. You are not to be beholden to some large greedy corporation. We want to keep America beautiful, at least the part of it that we live in. We want to continue using our farmland to raise cattle, produce annually renewable amber waves of grain, not only for ourselves, but for future generations. Do you want your grandchildren growing up in a solar panel / windmill trash heap? Raping our healthy, productive land to produce expensive, inefficient, non-renewable solar panels is an expensive and terrible idea. And if green energy is so needed, which I don't believe, why not use our plentiful deserts for these factories? There's plenty of sun there. Let's keep our purple mountain majesties and fruited plains, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. And I see Scotty Hart has come into the room. So, Scotty, welcome to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Supervisors, I'm Scotty Ard from New Richmond, Wisconsin. I have been working in clean energy since 2004, and I've been working against it. And I will tell you, St. Croix County, I've heard so many comments. I'm so disappointed, because if you're going to talk about a process, then know the process. Even for the persons in the community, know what you're talking about. Yes, is the PSC big and scary? Absolutely. It doesn't have to be. I've been there 4 times. I was honored to be with the town of Forest. That's in St. Croix County. They waged a tremendous David and Goliath battle. And what was that? Oh, yes, they're 36 square miles, and a developer wanted to put 42 825-foot wind turbines in a 36 square mile area. Essentially, everybody got one. They didn't win. Out of 625 people in the town of Forest at that time, 80 persons band together, found an attorney, funded the legal fees, and took the PSC. And by the way, town of Forest did sue the PSC for administrative rulemaking, and they won. They also beat out that developer. So you do not see 825-foot wind turbines in the town of Forest, which, if you have not been, it's the eastern part of the county, and it's beautiful. Rolling Hill, beautiful. Just as Aaron Prairie is beautiful. just as St. Croix County in and of itself is beautiful. And we want to keep it that way. We are at a precipice in green energy at this time. Already, turbine manufacturers, production distributors, et cetera, are learning that they cannot recycle these. Denmark leads the way once again with coming up with different platforms of how to recycle wind turbines. And they've been pretty brilliant about it. But it's not enough. Currently in the United States, we have several thousand landfills in which fiberglass turbine blades and nacelles, which are the size of a school bus, are sitting. Now, what does this have to do with solar panels? The same thing. They cannot be recycled. To date, there is no way of recycling these panels. They can, to a certain extent, be reused for a certain amount of time, but they cannot be recycled. So we're claiming green energy, but we are creating a greater contaminant to our planet, to our water and soil with this proposal. The dynamic of clean energy is changing. The understanding of nuclear energy with plutonium, with clean plutonium, with reburned plutonium, and utilizing thorium which gives a higher heat value, greater energy force. These are all being looked at, mini nukes, water-based nukes. We have a plethora of energies that are out there currently. But one of the greatest visions that we need to look at is that even though PSC is written very badly, and PSC 111 is written really badly, it does state that it must be in the public's interest. They do not have to present that there is a need for this power, but it has to be in the public interest. You have all heard about the karst. You are all aware that we do have a web page because St. Croix County has a karst program. We are a project county for karst. So therefore, with that much attention, it's a no-brainer that piling posts into the ground is not healthy for this land. Now, let's move on to intervening. If you choose not to intervene, you have signed away your right to ever address this action in the future. You will have no public standing with the PSC. You will not be a member of that case unless you are an intervener. And yes, it takes a lot. And you do and will need to call experts for expert testimony because Excel will throw everything at this and see what sticks. If you do not intervene, the county and all of its residents will only have public comment once the docket opens, and that will be as much say as you will have. As an intervener, you have the ability to legally and by authority drive the way that this goes at the PSC. You will be able to present expert witnesses. You will be able to present evidence. You will be able to present facts. You will be able to challenge what Excel is stating. And why in the world would any of us want to trust a corporate entity who's making money from this development and trust their studies, their experts, their geological studies of the area, or their wildlife studies of the area, or their health and safety, or that 150 feet from a home is safe? Why would we trust that? We would get our own studies so that we're presenting to the PSC saying, look, these are the geological studies. This is what the landmass is. This is not what could happen. This is what has happened. But you lose all that if you do not intervene. Also, if you sign a JDA, which we know, phase 2, 3, and 4 have not been written yet. So you're signing a blank document, like signing a blank check. That helps no one. So in consideration of those, and just to clarify a point, Excel is not on a timeline for tax credits. The IPTs and PTCs, They're not interested. They have self-funded every one of their clean energy developments. Because if you have anything about accounting, even if they take a loss on it, it's a gain because it looks good on the books. It balances the sheets. And if you have looked at the return on investment that Excel is posting, they're posting at 13.7%, even on a loss project. Oh, and by the way, September 19th, very important date. Excel has already filed for 2 rate increases for 26 and 27. Those are already on an open docket in front of the PSC. If you have not commented, letting the PSC know that this rate increase is not right for your family, for you as an individual, for St. Croix County, I urge you to get on the PSC and make your public comment against this, because this is only the first one. If the project were to be approved, you will see several more come in during that 18-month period that we will spend at the PSC. This is just the beginning. So I urge every single one of you, if you love St. Croix County, this is the time to stand up and say, no, we are not going to be part of this. And we are not going to allow Excel to come in and literally rape the land that our forefathers have been the guardians of and the stewards. You are the stewards. Thank you.
Thank you, Scotty. We'll now hear from Jim Rumke, and he'll be followed by Harry Turkington.
I'm Jim Rumke from Katy Township. We're not close to the project site, but we're concerned. Just remember who voted you to sit in the chairs and represent us. It was the citizens of St. Croix County. And I don't think they're getting much of a response the way they want it right now. Just remember who put you in your seat. We can take you out of your seat next time.
Harry, thank you. Jim, thank you. We'll now hear from Harry Turkington, and he'll be followed by Linda Carlson.
Good evening. I'm Harry Turkington with the, excuse me, the Wisconsin Land and Liberty Coalition. Just a quick background of our organization. We're an education and advocacy nonprofit. We seek to educate and advocate for what we call an all-of-the-above approach to energy production. We approach this from a center-right perspective, so we usually emphasize the issue of energy security for the United States, especially with regards to importing energy from foreign and especially hostile foreign nations. We also emphasize the issue of energy security for the state of Wisconsin. One fact that is very concerning to us is that the state of Wisconsin spends about $15 billion every year importing electricity from neighboring states. We like to see that change. And especially pertinent to this situation, we also approach it from a property rights standpoint. So we do believe that individual landowners, property owners do have the right to dispense with their land ultimately as they see fit. And so in that vein, we would like to affirm the 10 Mile Creek Solar Project and also respectfully ask that any and all proceedings with regards to this project do take place via the PSC. And we do hope that you would oppose the intervention. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Harry. Linda Carlson is next, and she'll be followed by Dan Schmidt.
Hello, thank you for letting us speak. Seems like the last time I spoke to the county board was during COVID. And the atmosphere is pretty much the same. During COVID, it felt like the county board knew better than we the people. Today, it feels like the county board knows better than what we the people are asking. Let me remind you, when you took office, you agreed to uphold the state and national constitution. I have 3 points. Deprivation of people's property. The U.S. Constitution Amendment 5 and Wisconsin Article 1, Section 3. It just speaks for itself. Environmental harm as a public burden. Wisconsin Article 9, Section 1 says we have the right to clean water. Loss of production of farmland. Wisconsin Article Section 1. This will reduce agriculture, will drive up food prices, and threaten economic security. And if that's not enough, I want to speak to a higher power of God. He gave us these gifts, and he gave us dominion over it. And by dominion, he means stewards and not owners. God expects us to take care of the gifts he gave us. And I can back that up by using Genesis chapter 1, verse 28, Psalms 24, verse 1, and Genesis chapter 1, verse 15. And I don't know about you guys, but putting solar panels on fertile land doesn't seem like a good way to take care of God's gifts. And once again, during COVID, we the people were pissed off, and we the people are pissed off now.
Pardon me. Thank you again, Linda. Dan Schmidt, please, and he'll be followed by Cindy Stockfist.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Dan Schmidt. I live in the village of North Hudson, lifelong resident of St. Croix County. My family, my mom and kind of family trust arrangement still owns the land that my parents bought and built a house on 60 plus years ago, and a family member now owns that house. I tried to get myself up to speed so I could comment reasonably intelligently. And so I spent a good deal of time, because that was quite a meeting you had in August, long time, a lot of comments and things. And I feel like the way the meeting closed, there was, we're going to find out if we can go on a parallel track with the JDA and the intervener role. I know you have this intervener resolution on the agenda, but I don't know the answer, kind of that cliffhanger at the end. My comment really is to just say I think a development agreement is the right thing to do with a development. I mean, I've seen it done in industry many times in my banking career and things. So I would just like you to continue down that path. It sounds like you had some good legal advice in February, and also talked about that, at subsequent meetings. And I know the county initiated it. So I just want to encourage you to continue moving forward with that. So thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Our next person up is Cindy Stockfist, followed by Guy Sly.
Thank you for your time. And my name is Cindy Stockfist. I live in the town of Hudson. We moved here 10 years ago after looking far and wide at states like South Dakota and North Dakota, Montana, et cetera. And we moved here because of the pristine land, the county beauty, and a conservative government that listens to its people. We urge you to formally and unequivocally reject the proposed solar farm and assert the majority will of the people of this county. I think you can see all over, and all kinds of petitions and all kinds of letters and emails and the meeting attendees that the majority of the people do not want this for all the reasons that have been covered in the meetings today and in the past. I just have a few comments to make, because you mentioned, or someone mentioned, that price increase of Xcel Energy. And one of the things that's been happening, because I've followed this from being a former resident of that state across the river, is that Xcel Energy shut down Sherburne County Unit 2 coal unit recently. And guess what? That was capable of powering 25% of the homes in Minnesota on an annual hourly basis. Then we have the King plant, which they're closing down. And each of these generate 3 times what a solar plant does. Now, let's put that aside. That is a fact that we are going to have a price increase. I'm sure they're going to get that through, even though a lot of us have sent in comments. If you cannot turn on any news source and not hear about data centers. And I'll just quote Elon Musk. He's putting in 5 data centers. It's the equivalent of shutting down or affecting 100,000 residences. So what Xcel isn't telling us here is one about that price increase on their energy. And it's gas and electric. And it's huge. It's going to make us in the top 7th state out of 50 if it goes through. And it will. They promised 2 years ago when they got a price increase, they weren't ever going to raise prices again, at least for, 3-5 years. Here they are again. Okay, then you have the data centers. So why exactly are they putting in solar farms that are not very effective, that produce 1/3 the energy, that last, honestly, about 1/3 to 1/2 of the time of a clean coal-fired plant? And as someone said, why is China, that's in the race with us for data centers, putting in clean coal-fired plants? Now, they cleaned up the one over here in Bayport. They put on scrubbers and all kinds of technology that was supposed to last another 10, 12 years. But Biden came along with the Inflation Reduction Act, and guess what? The money got rolled out. And as I was leaving today, and I'll close with this, there was a blurb on TV that Trump won against in terms of the rollbacks of the green energy money. And so that's a good thing, except what does that mean to Xcel? So it's just one more thing that's out there that's playing with the Inflation Reduction Act, and they quote it. The reason we're rolling this back basically is because at the end of Biden's term, he was throwing, and this is the quote, money at these projects like they were gold bricks. And with that, I'll close. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy, and we welcome Guy on the slide to the podium. We have 2 more speakers, Samuel Romo and Peter Verstegen, and then I think our intent would be to take a short break before we go into the further portion of the business schedule. Scott, you had submitted a comment, but I think you commented up front, so that we counted that as your comment. Okay, Guyneth, if you'd like to speak.
I'm in the position
Feel free.
of saying what they said. I'm Guyneth Sly, believe it or not. I live in Bob's district in Troy Township. I'm concerned partly because of a longstanding interest. I was on the Eau Claire Energy Cooperative Board for a number of years. So watching the green energy evolve over the last, 15, 20 years has been fascinating. And of course, the price of our electric bills has escalated by a minimum of 20% in that time. So looking at what's efficient doesn't bring me to a big appreciation for solar. And I feel as though we're on the bleeding edge here on the west coast of Wisconsin, Minnesota, and especially the Twin Cities is sort of hemorrhaging people at us and hemorrhaging their issues this way because we've got land and they've got development all the way over to like halfway on the other to the west of central Minnesota. And so I feel as though we're being faced with solving Xcel's problems at our expense in terms of farmland and quality of life with what really is an outdated, inefficient, toxic, and temporary technology. So wasn't there a plant, a big solar plant put together in the desert, Mojave Desert? And it didn't operate for more than 18 months, something like that, and it's been left to rot. This looks like to me that it's vitally important to resist in whatever is the smartest way possible, which obviously, in my experience, involves lawyers and possibly protracted efforts. But before Wisconsin becomes an industrial wasteland, in other words, like the New Jersey of Minnesota, they're shoving stuff. There's a data center coming in Menominee. We've got this. And I want to point out from the flyer that was left for us to pick up here, since 2020, there are 22 big solar installations in Wisconsin, 16 of which have been approved. And St. Croix County has already done its part. There's another big solar installation already operating. So we're being asked to sacrifice an awful lot on behalf of Excel's problems, not our problems. Excel has not been forthcoming or transparent. I've watched at least 2 of their meetings where there's very little data shared. They've offered platitudes about their great track record that with very little concrete information about plans for this installation, most of which details wind up in the remains to be seen category. Seems that Excel is relying on the PSC, not supplying information that we would find useful. They're relying on the PSC to easily approve the 10-mile development and solve their quota and green energy problems by moving their issues across the river onto our laps. Subsidies are changing right now. Cindy mentioned that the subsidies have been authorized to be terminated in many cases. So subsidies are changing green energy requirements, and things are changing so rapidly under the Trump administration that I want to urge you to resist this development to the utmost of your capabilities, especially while the political landscape evolves into a more solid form. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenneth. Next up is Sam Romo, followed by Peter Verstegen.
Hi, my name is Sam Romo. I'm from town of Baldwin, and I have a grid tie solar system. It was engineered and inspected by St. Croix County, and then on July 27th, it got taken out by a storm. So definitely not bulletproof systems that can be taken out pretty quickly. Also, it's worth noting that Xcel Energy gave me the runaround for 8 months to get the system connected. Tiny little revisions that needed to be changed in the application. They took with a full 30 days to respond to me. And I feel like that was just so they didn't have to connect to my system to reduce my electric bill by the little bit that it saved me. I think it's a terrible use of 5,000 acres of farmland. So that's my take on it. I own a grid tie solar system, and that's been my personal experience. So thank you.
Thank you, Samuel. Our last speaker is Peter Verstegen.
I got David Myers.
Oh, okay. Do you want to, why don't you share with us what David would say?
My name is David Meyer. I live in Aaron Prairie. Thanks for letting me submit this. I'm asking the board to vote against the JDA and to vote in support of intervening. I do not trust Excel's rewording of the draft JDA to allowing intervening after signing a JDA. Some lawyer will pick that apart at St. Croix County's expense, leaving us without the ability to intervene. In addition, signing a JDA sends a message that St. Croix County is sort of okay with the project. Imagine if some decision-making body such as Wisconsin DNR, the PSC itself, or any other group that might influence any type of decision in the PSC approval process is torn over what decision to make. Subconsciously, the existence of a JDA agreed to by St. Croix County could tip the scales of data, research, analysis, etc., in favor of approving, supporting the project. Don't take that chance. Vote against the JDA and vote for intervening.
Thank you very much for sharing David Meyer's comments with us. Is Peter Verstegen in the room? Peter? If Peter's not here, that will conclude our public comment. At this time, we'll take about a 5-minute break, give or take. And when we return, we'll continue with our normal business agenda. By the way, I thought our comments tonight were very good. People were respectful of the time for the most part, and we appreciate that very much. There were excellent comments on all sides of the issue, and thanks for coming out tonight to share your thoughts with us. Begin the business portion of the meeting, and for the first item of business, I'm going to call on the chairman of the Community Development Committee. I notice he's chewing a sandwich right now, so I'm going to give him a half a second to swallow it. But we'll be calling him to raise the resolution authorizing the county to intervene in the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin proceedings related to the 10-mile Solar Creek Farm project. So with that, I'll call on the chairman of the Community Development Committee.
Yep, I would like to make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the county to intervene in the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin proceedings on the 10-mile Creek Solar Project, and then I'll talk a little bit about it once I get a second.
Second by Supervisor Van Summeren.
I'd like to second that motion.
It's been seconded, and
Fourth.
I'll call on Chairman Anderson to begin the discussion.
Yeah, so we've heard a lot about this, not only in this meeting, but also the committee's done a lot of background work on this as well, even more than we've done at the full county board level. We've heard a lot of public comment, and about, I'd say 98% of it is in favor of being obstructionists or becoming interveners at a minimum at the PSC. So that is why I am making the motion, and the committee recommended that we bring this resolution forward.
Further comment? Supervisor Shirley.
I would like to amend the motion. If we go to line number 20, I would like it to read, to prepare all necessary materials, comma, take appropriate preparations, and file for intervener status with the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin in the 10-mile Creek Solar proceedings when the project is submitted to the PSC. So just a little change of verbiage.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second? Supervisor Carlson? Shirley, do you want to lead it?
Yeah, just a little bit of change of verbiage, because the intention of this is to allow Heather's team to intervene and to authorize her to do that. But that is the headline of the resolution. But when you look down in the details of it, before it said to prepare materials and take appropriate steps to file, but it didn't actually say to file. So it's just bringing it full circle.
Further discussion on the amendment by Supervisor Shirley? Seeing none, we can vote on it. A yes vote is to approve the Shirley amendment. Yes.
Chair Fiedler, I had a comment.
Oh.
Chair Fiedler.
Supervisor Leaf, go ahead. I didn't see you.
So I wanted to explain something to the people that are watching, that this is now my third term. I've never had an issue that I needed to abstain, but I am abstaining on this one because I'm a shareholder of Excel stock, and I don't feel it appropriate that I vote on this issue.
Thank you, Supervisor Leaf, for that comment. So Supervisor Leaf will not be voting on the amendment or on the main motion, I believe. That would be what she was also indicating. So we had Carlson was the second on that. Somebody had asked if we'd had a second. So we had discussion. There was no more discussion that I see. So the vote is on the Shirley amendment. Just to restate it, do you want to restate it very simply?
I will. So you want me to summarize, or you want me to
summarize?
Summarize is that we are extending the verbiage inside the resolution to authorize Corp Counsel to file as an intervener in the project when it's submitted.
No further discussion is needed now. We'll vote on the amendment.
I would like it read what we're voting on, please.
Okay. Corporate Counsel will read the text of the amendment we're going to vote on.
So I'll just read what Supervisor Shirley wants the now therefore be it resolved paragraph to read. So he wants it to read, now therefore be it resolved that the County Board of Supervisors hereby authorizes county staff in consultation with Corporation Counsel to prepare all necessary materials, take appropriate preparations, and file for intervenor status with the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin in the 10 Mile Creek Solar Project proceedings when the project is submitted to the PSC. All right.
We'll vote on that amendment as written, as stated. He's voting yes on the Shirley Amendment, if you'll record it. Supervisor Carlson voting yes on the Shirley Amendment, and the vote on that, it passed 16 to 1 to 1 abstention. So now we're back on the main motion. Is there any further discussion on the main motion as it's been amended? Seeing none, we'll vote. Supervisor Burning.
All right, so there's just a couple things I want to make sure that, and I want to make sure that I can do this in future agenda items as well. But I want to make sure that, one, we have a future agenda item that we can either discuss in closed session if we're allowed to by law, or now that we're voting on this, I don't know if it passed yet. So, and the second thing is, I think this has to start in admin as a budget amendment if this does pass. So I just want to make sure that we're all aware of that. We have not been told how much this is going to cost. We don't have the grounds of which we're going to intervene on. So just remember that as we're going into this as supervisors, we are making a general statement right now, and we have to come up with a game plan. So get ready to roll your sleeves up and do some extra committee of the holes, ladies and gentlemen. So, okay, that's my comment. I just want to make sure that we're all aware of that before we vote.
Thank you, Supervisor Burning. Those are very important comments. Supervisor Wright.
Yes, I'm just curious because there's hard costs and soft costs being staff time. Do we have any estimate as to how much we've already invested at the county level in getting to this point?
No hard costs. It's only been soft cost. And the employees are salaried, so I work them just as hard as necessary. So.
All right, Ken. That prompts a follow-up. Any estimate of time? I mean, something that you could ballpark and put it. I think that the audience here would probably appreciate knowing that their tax dollars are being used for some of this work.
So you're asking what we've invested so far?
What you've invested, right?
Yeah. I mean, dozens of hours. I mean, there's been 3 primary staff: community development director, corporation counsel, and myself.
It might be useful to track that
Yeah.
because this is probably a project that will maybe even bleed into next year.
Yeah,
and
probably.
it'd be good for us to be able to say, this is what our investment has been. Okay.
Is there any further discussion or comments? Seeing none, we're prepared to vote on the main motion as it's been amended to a resolution authorizing the county to intervene in the Public Service Commission on the 10 Mile project. So we now vote. Or Supervisor Rice, you could just tell us how you would have voted there.
She got hers.
Oh. The resolution has been adopted 16 to 1 with 1 abstention. Thank you, everybody, for your consideration of this difficult issue. I know everybody's worked very hard to get educated on this. over the past few months, and we appreciate all the hard work of the Community Development Committee and those who've offered amendments and the final passage. We have 8 more business items, and I don't want to shortchange any of those business items. They're all important. A lot of them came out of the Administration Committee, so I'll be calling on Chairman Burning and the County Administrator to discuss most of those amendments. But we don't want to cut anybody off. We're going to go as long as we need to go to thoughtfully consider all of them, but also trying to keep in mind what the time is. So I'll call on Chairman Burning for the resolution authorizing the fund balance transfer for 2025. Please. Yeah, you may bring a motion forward.
All right. I make a motion to approve resolution authorizing fund balance transfer for 2025.
I'll second Supervisor Fiedler.
Seconded by Supervisor Counter. And we're discussion on that now. I don't know if Chairman Burning would like to lead it or the.
Yeah, so this is standard operating procedure for year in and year out. We have a capital improvement plan that's approved over a 5-year period, although we don't authorize the money for 5 years from now or 4 or 3 or 2 years. We do look at the projects that are sitting before us and the cash that we have available. One of the nice things that we've done is we have been able to move $500,000 of this over to the debt service levy. And what that means is, I heard the term a tax cut. It's not necessarily a tax cut, but we're using cash to offset the levy that is put against property to pay for any debt that is needs to be paid for by the county this year. So it's nice to have that. It allows for a little bit of relief this year, and we've been blessed to be able to have that year in and year out for quite a number of years now, at least as long as I've been on the board, to be able to do things like this. So that's what this is.
Thank you, Chairman Burning. Any further comment? If there's no further comment, we're prepared to vote on that motion or resolution. So vote. The resolution was adopted unanimously, 18-0. Thank you. The next item is item 3, resolution amending the 2025 budget and authorizing additional opioid funding for Health and Human Services program. Again, I'll call on, not sure, is this Chairman Telejohn or Chairman Burning? Chairman Burning.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution amending 2025 budget 2 and authorizing additional opioid funding for HHS Recovering Together CAFE program, or the RTC.
That's Supervisor Rice? Or Supervisor Lind, I'm sorry. Supervisor Lind seconded. Discussion. Seeing no further discussion,
Well, I'm going to have Administrator Witt kind of explain what this is.
Administrator Witt?
Yeah, so when new opioid monies come in, they're allocated by the county board. And I think in the cover memo or the attachment, we had gone over all the opioid monies that we have. The Sandos money, we've received that $83,000 now. So what this resolution is doing is it's authorizing the spending of $5,000 of that per year on this recovering cafes. It had originally been funded through ARPA dollars. It was proving successful. It was really just starting to get going pretty well over the last year or so here. But with the ARPA dollars running out, we're now shifting the funding for that over to this opioid settlement dollars. So they're not using tax levy dollars for this program, but again, beneficial to the taxpayers that need these types of services.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we're prepared to vote.
My screen is daunting.
I had the same problem.
Oh, thank you. I don't know what you did.
And if Supervisor Rice will vote yes on this issue, and the final vote on that with her vote yes is 18-0. If you have a continued issue with the computer, you can just let us know ahead of time and we'll record your vote orally as we just did. So that resolution was adopted 18-0. The next item is another resolution amending the 2025 KIP budget for additional park improvements projects.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution amending 2025 KIP budget, item 3 for additional park improvement project.
Second. I think I had a second from Supervisor Shirley first. We'll get you next, Supervisor Adams.
We'll get you in there.
Jumping in.
Discussion. Chairman Burning?
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Chair. Jason, our Community Development Director, and his staff were able to secure a grant to cover what this project was originally slated for. So they came to the Administration Committee and asked if they could use the money that they saved to do another project that would probably be done down the road anyway. And so the Administration Committee approved it unanimously.
Further discussion on item 4, resolution amending the KIP budget for additional park improvements. Seeing no additional discussion, we're prepared to vote on that. By the way, just a comment as we're voting on that, on the previous resolution dealing with the opioid, I noticed today that there was a big report on a new drug that's out there that they report is 40 times as powerful as fentanyl. And apparently it's just devastating a couple of our major cities right now. 40 times as powerful as fentanyl. And fentanyl, a couple grams will kill you. So, sorry for the sad news there, but that's just a comment while we're voting. Again, this was unanimous, 18-0. Item 5 on the agenda is a resolution approving the 26 to 30 capital improvements plan. Again, Chairman Burning.
Okay, so this is, I make a motion to approve the resolution 2026 to 2030 capital improvement plan.
I'm just waiting for Supervisor Adams to say second.
I second it, sir.
Okay. Supervisor Adams. Okay, discussion.
Yeah, so this is our next 5 years capital improvement plan. Once again, we're not allocating any of the monies past next year. We just did that. This is just the plan that we put forth so that staff can keep things on the plan or take things off the plan if there's anything you guys see that you want moved, changed, added, disconnected, moved to a different dollar amount. Like, this is your chance to say it right now. Otherwise, staff will keep it on their plan and keep rolling through, having it on the next 5 years and planning on some of these projects moving forward. Now, once again, we're not approving them all to be spent tonight. It's a matter of just keeping the plan rolling forward.
Further discussion. Supervisor Shirley.
I will note that also when we talked about this in committee of the whole, keeping the jail extension on 2027, I am against spending that kind of money in 2027. But approving this plan is only talking about 2026 capital projects. So I just wanted to note that.
Is there any further discussion on the resolution approving the 2026 through 2030 capital improvement plan? Seeing none, we're prepared to vote. Again, this was unanimous, 18-0. I think most all the resolutions that came out of the Administration Committee that we're looking at tonight came out unanimously when they were considered. The next item is a very small one, but does involve money, so we have to address it. It's a resolution to charge back municipalities due to incorrect real estate taxes. Again, Chairman Burning.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 39, resolution to charge back municipalities due to incorrect real estate taxes.
Second. Second by Supervisor Barkalow. Chairman Burning.
Yeah, so I brought up because I thought it was kind of odd that we have to go through all the pomp and circumstance to approve $38.38 to be charged back. But it was noted by council that there are some people out there in life that are not as upfront and honest as most in this room are, or all in this room are. So here is where this is a safeguard for our taxpayers to not be robbed in small increments. Just because it's a small dollar amount doesn't mean it doesn't need to be watched, because we want to make sure there isn't a whole bunch of small dollar amounts being siphoned back from our taxpayers out there. So it's necessary, small but necessary, and I will not spend any more time on it because we all make too much money here. So,
is there any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, we're prepared to vote on item number 6, resolution to charge back municipalities due to incorrect real estate taxes. Okay, on this item, resolution that was passed 17-0 to 1, Chairman Long has had to drop off the call, so he did not vote, so he's the one that's listed as an abstention, not voting, I'm sorry. And but it was adopted 17-0-1. Next item is business item number 7, resolution amending compensation per diem mileage and expense reimbursement policy. Again, Chairman Burning.
I make a motion to approve resolution amending compensation per diem mileage and expense reimbursement policy.
Supervisor Shirley seconds. Discussion.
Yep. Mr. Chair, can I explain the reason behind this?
Absolutely.
All right, excellent. So this was brought up, I believe, a couple of years ago, and then it was brought up earlier this year or late last year. And the consensus amongst us in the admin committee was no pay raises for county supervisors at that time. Since a few years ago, there have been a lot of issues that have propped up for county board members. Whether you've been on Health and Human Services over the last 5 years or community development, admin, it doesn't matter. There isn't a single committee or a single board member here that hasn't spent numerous couple dozen hours on most issues or most meetings leading up to their month serving, whether it's meeting with their neighbors or studying up on an issue. Believe it or not, we as county supervisors, we don't have staff. We don't have staff that we can lean on necessarily to do our research. We're not going to bombard Corp Counsel and the administrator to do research for us. So we don't have like legislative aides like they do in Congress, or your local elected official puts a lot of legwork into the issues. Here's what a county supervisor currently gets compensated, and this is mostly not for the people sitting with me in the horseshoe. This is for the public to know. A county supervisor for their first meeting of the day gets $75, and they get mileage that's set by the federal rate. Their second meeting is $25, right? So in one instance, community development had or highway department had a meeting in the morning. They had to drive to Baldwin. They had the meeting. They did the study for the meeting, and then they drove back to wherever it was that they came from. Then that night, we had a county board meeting that lasted 3.5 hours. They got compensated $100 and mileage, not to mention all the homework that they did, any research that they did, talking to staff to make sure that their questions were answered regarding anything that's in their packets, answering emails, meeting with constituents, or neighbors, whatever it is that they're doing. So we put this forth because I feel, and this isn't a pay raise for us today, so we could lose in April and we'll never see this pay raise. This is for whoever's coming into this seat next. This has not been looked at for 12 years. Now, we're coming up to matching most of the other counties, and all the other counties are looking to increase their pay for their county supervisors. A lot of them are right now, and that's according to our administrator who talked to a few of them. So this is long overdue. I think the St. Croix County Board is made up of 19 amazing individuals who all come with a diverse experience, backgrounds, thoughts, and ideas. And this is the hardest working group that I've seen in my time on the board. So whoever comes in next has, I feel, big shoes to fill. And they better do their homework. If I choose to run or not to run, whoever represents me better do the same amount of homework that I did or more. So that's why we put this out there.
Thank you, Chairman Burning, for that very thoughtful explanation. I'll turn to first Supervisor Barklow, then Supervisor Hanson.
I'd like to make an amendment to the title. If we can call this the Sean Anderson Employee Retention Plan. I'll withdraw that, though.
Good try. I would have supported it. Supervisor Hanson.
I think it's worth pointing out that we just sat through several hours of people who have put us under a microscope and are criticizing and scrutinizing our actions. I think this is just bad timing. It's not something anybody here does for the money, and what you're raising it to isn't still enough money for people who choose to be paid. It's almost an embarrassment that we're asking for a raise at a time when the public has put us under this kind of microscope. Maybe in a couple of years, but not this year. This isn't the right time.
Is there any further discussion on the resolution? Supervisor Rice.
Yeah, I'm real uncomfortable with this. I mean, you can look at that spreadsheet and kind of make that was attached to this and make a story out of it, however, one way or the other. I view this as public service, and to be quite honest, when I ran, I didn't know there was any compensation. I've only been on nonprofit boards before, so you get paid nothing for those. I can't help but notice that we got one of these little booklets today in here. And if you open it up, page 41, per capita personal income in St. Croix County, it says, now this is an average, $70,354. So if you divide that by 52 weeks, and then by assuming 40 hours a week, that would be $33.82 an hour. So I would like to see our admin committee go back and come up with something that's more commensurate. There are some of our county board meetings where we meet for a half hour, and other times we're meeting like tonight. We're going to see the stars when we come out. And I'd like to see us come back with something. These are nice, neat, round numbers, but I feel like we shouldn't be making this change right now. I really do. I won't be voting for this.
Chair Fiedler, I had a comment too.
First, I'll turn to Supervisor Leaf and then Supervisor Burning.
Thank you. I think this is really unnecessary. As Supervisor Rice said, I didn't go in this for the money. I also think that we're asking our departments to whittle down budgets to be as efficient as possible, which of course they should. And I also think that we're probably going to see an increase in our employees' healthcare premiums and plans. So I think this is really not appropriate for us to be doing at all. I've known people that have, we scrutinize every penny, and now we're trying to give ourselves a raise. And I really feel, and I know Supervisor Burning will tell me it's for next year's crew, but hopefully some of us will still be on that crew. I think it's unnecessary and inappropriate.
Supervisor Burning.
I want to make sure that the record is abundantly clear. I don't think any of us do this for the money, because that's a joke if anyone thinks that. Even at the dollar amounts that we put this to, it's still, with the amount of time that I know all of you put in, it's still a couple dollars an hour. It's our family. I mean, not everyone has had this happen, but there are times where people come to your house because your address is public record. There are people that send you nasty text messages, nasty emails. Like, I know a lot of us haven't been through that, but I can tell you, I'm not doing this to raise it because we're doing this for the money. I'm doing this to have at least a little bit of compensation for the people that do put 10, 15, 20 hours a month into this and do pour their heart and soul into policy. So you can vote for it, you can vote against it. I just want to make it abundantly clear that good people don't run because there is a lack of compensation. Don't think I'm the best and the brightest in my district. There's a lot of people that are better than me. Don't run against me because I enjoy doing this. But, and being funny, there are a lot of people that I can look up to in my district that are better at me in a lot of areas. And I think a lot of you think the same. None of us in this room would have ran if we didn't think we were the best one for this job. That's the truth. Whether you want to sit here and play games and say, no, I didn't think that, wrong. You thought you're the best for this position. That's why you ran. And so I just think after 12 years and miles in snowstorms, like some of you come from Glenwood City. Supervisor Swanepoel, you know, you drive a long way, and I'm sorry I mentioned you by name. I know we're not supposed to, but I wanted to recognize you because you drive a long way to serve your neighbors. So I think it's only fair that we do this. And you know, if you don't want to run next year, or you don't want to get a pay raise next year, if you want to, I don't know, like vote no on it. But I think that this group has worked really hard, and it's evident by how things run in this county. I mean, we have a great administrator. He's done a fantastic job. So I don't know. I'm for it. Whatever. If you guys vote it down, I'm not going to be mad. But if you support it, I'm telling you, it's going to mean something to some people. Maybe it'll help someone run again. I don't know.
Supervisor Shirley.
I think that's an important point, is that we're not effectively passing this, if it passes through, to give ourselves a raise. It's for the next election. And we're trying to, it's hard enough to find somebody to run for this office in the first place. Second of all, this in conjunction with our 9th action item here tonight about districts and nomination papers, we want to find people that are actually serious about running and want to do this and want to spend the time. And, you know, like Supervisor Burning said, nobody's doing this for the money. I mean, $125 for a meeting, still nobody's doing this for the money. It's such a small amount. You know, I serve on community development and on admin. Admin meetings, yes, they're a little shorter usually. Community development, lately, we've been there for 3 hours each. So, and then you have, you know, at least an hour to 2 hours of prep minimum for that. So he's talking about a 5 hours of time for $75. So I think raising it a little bit, I mean, we're not raising it an exorbitant amount of money here. We're raising it a tiny bit. And that if you look at our peers around us, there's a lot of counties that pay their county supervisors a lot more than this.
Seeing no other supervisors seeking recognition, we're prepared to vote on the resolution amending compensation per diem mileage and expense reimbursement policy. The resolution passes 10-7 with one non-voting. Chairman Long. We're now going to turn to a very important resolution, and this deals with our county administrator and his work plan for 25-26. Again, Chairman Burning.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution, the resolution approving County Administrator's 2024 to 2025 Work Plan Report and establishing County Administrator 2025-2026 Work Plan.
Is there a second? Supervisor Counter seconds. Discussion. Yes.
Okay, so Chairman Long and I sat down with Administrator Witt, and we poured through what his action plans were for last year, where he was at with them, the fact that he did them, and then we added new ones as are in here, and that's what his plan is for next year. So it's basically goal setting like you would in the private sector for, you know, essentially the CEO or president of our organization here at the county.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, we're prepared to vote on that item. Item 8. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Supervisor Counter.
I need a bigger hand. No, I just wanted to add into it that we have, at St. Croix County, have been extremely fortunate to have Administrator Witt at working for us on our behalf. He has had an incredible influence over making things work in our county for us and keeping our jobs as easy as possible. And I very much appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody on this board feels the same. I'd just like to, again, commend Administrator Witt for his performance and appreciate all that you've done for us. And again, give you a hand for the great job that you've been doing for us. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor Counter. If there's nobody else seeking recognition, we'll be prepared to vote on the resolution approving the County Administrator's 2024-2025 work plan and establishing his 25-26 work plan. That was unanimously approved, 17-0. The last item on our business agenda relates directly to the county supervisors and the election process. It's the ordinance repealing and recreating Chapter 9 County Supervisor Districts and Nomination Papers. Chairman Bernie.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance repealing and recreating Chapter 9 County Supervisory Districts and Nomination Papers.
Seconded by Supervisor Counter.
All right, so this actually was, and it actually all makes sense, was brought up a little while ago. This has everything to do with nomination papers for running for the County Board of Supervisors. So as of last term, when the 19 of us were elected, 18 were elected, you had to go around to your neighbors and collect 20 signatures and turn them into the county clerk's office. Once a county reaches 100,000 in population, state law requires that you go to 100 signatures unless an ordinance is enacted by the county board to reduce that to 50. So we had some discussion on it. Supervisor Counter made some great points considering how there's a lot of rural area in St. Croix County still. So it's not like we have this 100,000 population metropolitan area and everyone's like, you can just get there on one of those like segways and, you know, get your signatures. So it makes it a little bit more difficult for people that represent more rural areas to get 100. So we thought, man, how did it go from 99,999 people in the county to 100,001? And you had to get 80 more signatures. That really didn't make much sense. So in a compromise, we are asking that this board adopts 50. And we also, did we put in there that we're required to?
we will be bringing a separate resolution to the administration committee to review it in 2 years.
God bless you. All right, so we're going to try to pass another resolution that requires us to review it in 2 years so that if our population all of a sudden grows to 130,000, maybe we consider adopting that. So that's the background on this particular resolution, and I'm going to vote for it. I hope you do too.
Is there further discussion? Seeing no further discussion on this item, we're prepared to vote.
One more.
Oh,
Supervisor Counter.
oh, I'm sorry, Supervisor Counter.
Yeah. No, the only thing I want to bring up is that, although statutorily we're required to have 50 signatures, but in reality, it's not 50 signatures because if you accidentally have somebody that's opposing you that gets the same names and they have the same, then that disqualifies both signatures. So you need to come in, if you need 50, you may want to safely say 75. If it's 100, you want to sit, so you're going to base it on potential for repeats. Otherwise, you can be disqualified and not be able to do it, if I understand it correctly.
Thank you, Supervisor Counter, for that clarification. And I apologize to you because you're just out of my peripheral vision. I can see everybody else, but you're just right there. So thank you for that addition. If there's no further discussion, I'll look around you very carefully. We're prepared to vote on that issue. Now, ordinance repealing and recreating Chapter 9 County Supervisor Districts and Nomination Papers. And that resolution was also adopted 1700. We're now done with the business part of the agenda. We can go to the request for future agenda items. First, I'll turn to Supervisor Rice and then Supervisor Burney.
I have a request and it's probably a topic for the admin committee, but as we look at not only the length of our meetings and the fact that, we were talking about people running for office, one of the things that people say is, I work or I have this commitment here. I think our board rules require only two kind of virtual meetings. Is that correct? 2 per year. And between committee of the whole and our regular board meetings, and does that apply to our committee meetings as well?
It's 2 per committee meeting.
2 per committee meeting? But what about the board? Isn't there?
Yeah, and 2 per county
more.
board.
2, I was just, 2 for each category. So my request is that we make that, I was actually the catalyst, sorry to put you on the spot, Christine, but you and I were talking about how you work in St. Louis Park. I'd like to see us look at that and see if we can't open it up. I know we want to be here to be responsive to the public and visible, but there are just some times where people are balancing a whole lot of things.
So is
Board attendance, got it.
Thank you.
So Supervisor Rice would like to revisit the attendance policy via video to try to accommodate whatever might be accommodated, and the suggestion was that it go to the admin committee. I'm going to leave the final decision up to Chairman Long, but it seems that that's very appropriate. Supervisor Burning.
Yeah, and then also, I'm going to put it on there anyway, but just so I can state it here, future agenda item, budget amendment for what we just voted on, intervening.
And that would go to the admin committee as well, prior to, okay. Yep. Any further, Supervisor Hanson?
Thanks. I'd like to recommend that we send to the Community Development Committee ask them to review the policy which we've committed to supporting the drawdown on Lake Malibu. I think it's really important that we do our due diligence and we turn this into a policy matter rather than an administrative matter.
That's already planned to be on the agenda.
As Chairman Anderson indicated, it would be on their agenda. Any further suggestions for future agenda items? Seeing none, we've completed that aspect of the agenda. Any further announcements? County Clerk? Anybody else further announcements? I would only add that we're going to be having our COTW, Committee of the Whole meeting, on October 9. So we have a board meeting on September 7, and the Committee of the Whole meeting, which would be our final opportunity to look at the next year's budget on that date. So it's at 8:30 in the morning. Typically, it lasts about 3 hours or so. But the hope is that when everybody has their committee meetings in September, that Administrator Witt and his staff will go over very carefully all the budget items, and lots of questions can be answered at that time. Any further announcements? Seeing none, thank you, everybody, for being with us. Thank you for the audience for being with us, and we're adjourned.